joining us from. I see we have some folks joining us from India and South Africa. So welcome to everyone. And we're so glad that you could join us to kick off Digital Inclusion Week. So we have today 385 folks that have registered to join us. And we have 27 dynamic speakers, and we invite you to connect with them on LinkedIn. If you go to shapingedu.asu.edu and click on events, a link to everyone's LinkedIn page is there. So you can contact anyone directly and initiate conversation with them. We have 9 timely topics to discuss today. So we have a lot to dive into. We'll be doing this at what we like to call a lightning pace. So we have several folks that will join us and speak for 5 minutes each, and we'll talk about what they're going to talk about next. So my name is Stephanie Pierotti. I am the director of ShapingEDU at ASU, and I'm so glad that you could join us today. Want to introduce to you the concept of visual description. So this is something that we do for our visually impaired friends. We want to make sure that they're having an experience that is as similar as possible to the folks that don't have visual impairment. So we like to describe our hair color, any distinguishing characteristics that would help to understand who is speaking and what is going on in their immediate environment. So my name is Stephanie Pierotti. I have brown hair that is rapidly turning gray as the days go on. I am of European descent. I am female, wearing a black shirt, and my background is a beautiful photo of a demonstration of digital inclusion, which looks a lot like a dandelion. So I invite all of our speakers to also give a visual description of themselves, again, so we can have a good experience for our visually impaired folks. I'd also like to start with an Indigenous land acknowledgement. ShapingEDU acknowledges that Arizona State University's 4 campuses are located in the Salt River Valley on ancestral territories of Indigenous peoples, including the Acma-Odum and Peeposh Indian communities, whose knowledge and stewardship of the land and waterways allow us to be here today. We further acknowledge that Arizona is home to 22 tribal nations that comprise 27% of Arizona's total land base. We recognize the sovereignty of these nations and seek to foster an environment of success and possibility for the Native American community. And I encourage you, if you have the time and willingness to do so, to scan that QR code and watch an amazing video that was created by ASU to describe the land and the communities. So ShapingEDU, who are we? What are we doing here? We have about 4,000 folks around the world that are education change makers, and we convene this group to work on projects together and surface challenges facing education as a whole, and create resources to share back out with the community to foster change around the world. And big thank you to our friends at Robots and Pencils, Microsoft, AWS, University of Arizona, whose sponsorship made this event possible. And why are we here today? We're kicking off Digital Inclusion Week. So this is a week that was set in motion by the National Digital Inclusion Alliance. And we want to thank everyone for their individual roles in digital inclusion around the state of Arizona. So what is digital inclusion? What can folks do online that's so very important? We can give folks the opportunities to join communities or connect with the folks that are in their current community, find new communities, explore job opportunities, connect with telehealth and government services, learning opportunities for parents. It's a great way to connect their kids to school, as well as other community activities, and to connect with friends around the world and family members that you may not get to see all the time. And most importantly, it's an avenue for exploration. We want to give folks the opportunity to explore new worlds, learn new things, and connect with new people. So we want to encourage exploration. So this is how we'll kick off the next section of our event. So we want to know always what you think and invite you to give us your feedback. So if you can either scan that QR code or go to slido.com and type in that number right there on the screen, 235-6841. And Stephanie's also going to put in the chat a direct link to it. But we want to know, in 1 or 2 words, what do you think is the most important component of digital inclusion? Is it community, telehealth, learning, employment opportunities? We want to know what you think. So please let us know in the Slido, and we'll create a word cloud. And then we'll go back in a little bit and look at that word cloud, so we'll know immediately what your thoughts are on the subject. So what's our agenda today? We are looking at the state of things, state of the state, state of the United States. And then we'll talk about broadband. We'll look at the Affordable Connectivity Program and digital navigators and talk about what that means. We'll look at digital literacy, and we'll also look at telehealth opportunities, and then continue on to STEM education and workforce development and community engagement opportunities. So we use a lot of acronyms, and we want to make sure that everyone's included in the conversation. So ACP, you'll hear quite a bit. That's the Affordable Connectivity Program. ISP is an internet service provider. NTIA is the National Digital Inclusion Alliance. NTIA is National Telecommunications and Information Administration. And then SCN is Sun Corridor Network. So if we've missed any, or you have one that you would like to ask about or share with us, please put that in the chat so everyone can see it. So diving into the state of things, we're going to hear from the Digital Equity Institute, Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, ASU, Gila River Indian Community, and the U.S. Department of Commerce's NTIA. So with that, I'd like to introduce Dr. Erin Carr-Jordan. Erin.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited, I have to say. I am over the moon that we get to have this event today. I am over the moon that Digital Equity Institute is a co-host, and I'm so excited that there are so many of you who have joined us today. Before we kick off, I would love to invite you to do one more thing. Just in the chat, can you put the area of digital equity or inclusion that you represent in your particular neck of the woods? So what is it that you do? Do you work in digital literacy? Are you an educator? Are you a digital navigator? Just sort of throw it in there. I really want everyone to just see the diversity of representation that we have here, because it really does cover the entire gamut of this space. And I think one of the most beautiful parts of being able to do this event is to say, we are kicking off Digital Inclusion Week by focusing on all of the great work that's happening across the entirety of the state of Arizona. And for those of you who are involved in different community organizations, you know that there is so much great stuff that is happening in our state. And so what we wanted to do is come together to collaborate and to create a venue, an opportunity that's this, to showcase all of that great work. So we invited folks from all around the state, from broadband to education to STEM and workforce development, every aspect of digital equity and inclusion that you could think of. We said, come here if you're an exemplar organization. We want to have an opportunity to share with the community what you're doing. Because we only have so much space in the day, we also wanted to create an opportunity for folks who aren't speaking to also share what they're doing. So as part of this, you should get an invitation. You should have gotten a Google Doc that says, who are you? What is your organization? What are you doing in Arizona? We want to create a feedback loop. So we will take that, and as part of community creation, we're going to share that widely, with your permission, with the folks who are attending here today. And the hope is that as we do this, we continue to create momentum, and we can continue to create opportunity for people to get to know one another, to begin collaborating, and to be constantly informed of and part of the conversation that's happening around digital inclusion in Arizona and at the national scale. So just to give a very quick update about who we are as the Digital Equity Institute. Oh, and I should say, my name is Dr. Erin Carr-Jordan. I am the Managing Director of the Digital Equity Institute. I am of European descent. I am sitting in my office with 3 yellow paintings behind me, and I'm wearing a green shirt, and I have brown hair that is also rapidly turning gray as the days go on. So thank you again for that reminder, Stephanie. So The Digital Equity Institute is a stakeholder and sector agnostic organization that works and was designed to help the state address digital equity and inclusion at scale. So we work in a collaborative fashion to make sure that everyone has their voice included in the design of digital equity ecosystems. And those equity ecosystems are everything that we're talking about here today. Every aspect of digital equity, that it really is part of the design, so that as we start to build things and co-create and collaborate, that it really is representative of the humans that we're intending to serve. We focus primarily on underrepresented and traditionally disadvantaged populations, which means that folks who are in the lowest socioeconomic status, folks who are disadvantaged because of race or gender or ethnicity or their incarcerated status, people who are veterans or who have intellectual or physical disabilities, or our elderly community members, or the youngest of kiddos. We really want to make sure that as we're building things, that they are representative of the needs of the community as dictated and determined by them, and that whatever we build in collaboration is used because it's useful, and that it really does add value to the lives of the community as perceived by them. We do this at scale, and we do it in deep collaboration. We are currently involved in 2 major projects here in the state, and we will be involved in many more, and we invite all of you to participate with us in those. The first is around IIJA and the digital equity planning efforts that are sponsored by NTIA. We have that fearless leader here today with us, Angie T. Bennett, excuse me. She'll be telling us about the state of the nation. I can't wait for that. And we also have Angela Seifer from NTIA here with us as well. So under IIJA, we are leading the state's digital equity efforts. And from a digital equity perspective, we are also helping with the BEAD efforts, which is the side that's focused on broadband. The goal is really to think of these as ecosystems, so that connectivity to reliable broadband is not thought of as separate from digital equity efforts, but rather that they are truly an ecosystem, and you can't have one with actually addressing the things that help people meaningfully engage in a trust-based environment. And the other thing I'm so excited to share today, and I won't share too much because Supervisor Gates is immediately following me, is this incredible effort that we are about to kick off in partnership with Maricopa County and Sun Corridor Network and Arizona State University that we are announcing here today. That effort is Maricopa County based. There is $10 million set aside in Maricopa County to address digital equity. And we can't wait to begin this work. We can't wait to do it in collaboration with so many of you. It includes everything from devices to digital literacy to digital navigating and community liaison work, and of course, broadband and connectivity. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited for this event. I can't wait for the rest of it. I will stop my time now, turn it over to the rest of the team. And as always, please reach out to me. I look forward to working with all of you. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Erin. Now we'd like to hear from Chairperson Bill Gates. Bill, welcome.
Well, thanks so much. It's great to be here. What an exciting event. And I can tell you that I am thrilled as chairman of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors to be here and share some thoughts on the issue of digital inclusion and some of the work that we're doing here at Maricopa County. I'm, in addition to serving on the board of Supervisors, I'm also a member of the Foundation for Blind Children board. So I'm thrilled by what you're doing today for those who are visually impaired and who are a part of this. So I am a male of European descent, and I am actually speaking today from my home. So you can see a picture of my family there in the back and the rest of my home. This is such an exciting day for Maricopa County and a great opportunity to talk about what we've been doing with our partners in Maricopa County over the past few years. First of all, I can tell you that the state of digital inclusion is very strong here in Maricopa County, and really never in our history have we had this much of a focus on digital inclusion. One of the main reasons for that is just because of the funding that is available. So we are very grateful to our partners at the federal government for the support that they provided for broadband and for digital inclusion in general. We've had funding through various buckets of money, including American Rescue Plan Act, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But before this funding became available, we really started to focus on broadband and digital inclusion at Maricopa County a few years ago. We've had a lot of people who've come alongside us, and one of the major leaders in this is my friend, Dominic Papa. Dominic and I formed the Connective back in 2019. And the focus of the Connective was to take a regional perspective on the issue of digital inclusion. I'm sure everyone on this Zoom meeting today is very familiar with the concept of smart cities. I got involved in that movement as a member of the Phoenix City Council. But when I moved over to the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, I really became focused working with Dom and many others on the concept of a smart region. We didn't want each city here in the Valley and beyond to be competing against one another when it comes to being a smart city. So instead, we move forward with the smart region approach. And so the Connective has been working together with mayors and other leaders, members of the Board of Supervisors, ASU, DEI, and others to really make this a combined effort. Then when we knew that the broadband funds would be available, we especially focused on getting as much of that broadband funding into the region and doing it in a very collaborative way. So as Dr. Carr-Jordan just referenced there a little bit, at Maricopa County, we have put our money where our mouth is. So we recently, and really excited to make this announcement here today, we recently approved unanimously $34 million focusing on this issue. So first of all, we've got to break that money down for you a little bit. $2 million of it is going into completing the effort of mapping that broadband that is available here in the county right now. As Erin mentioned, $10 million of it is going into the digital equity ecosystem. About $4 million of those funds are focused on that middle mile piece, which has been challenging, but we think this is really going to be helpful as we move forward with our efforts. And finally, $12 million of this will be going into getting broadband into underserved parts of the county. And this is interesting because this is both an urban challenge and a rural challenge. We have a lot of rural areas within Maricopa County, including some parts of my district in District 3, which really are underserved in broadband. But as was definitely highlighted during the pandemic, we also have a lot of our urban core, which is underserved. So that 12 million we think is going to help again, both in urban and in the rural areas of Maricopa County. When you look at all this together, the focus that we have between ASU leaders like Lev Gonick, we've got the Sun Corridor, we have EDI, and then the support of Maricopa County, and then all of the cities and towns across Maricopa County, I believe that we are in an unprecedented time where we can make large-scale improvements to digital inclusion, which will have impacts not only on quality of life, but on economic development, which will be very significant for decades to come. So I want to thank everyone who's on this Zoom call for your involvement today, all that you're doing to expand digital inclusion, and hope that you all have a wonderful day. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Good to hear from you. And that's such an amazing announcement. We're so delighted that you were able to come here and share that with us. Now, we hear from Dr. Lev Gonick. Dr. Gonick, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Lev Gonick. I am of Eastern European descent. I am definitively graying, and as I look at myself this morning in this video picture, receding hairline, still a couple of curls left. I'm wearing a black shirt, and I'm actually here at Arizona State University in one of our little huddle rooms, which means there's not much else to describe in terms of the room itself. Thanks so much for joining us from all over Arizona, across the Southwest, across the United States. and great to see a couple of our friends and colleagues who are working on digital equity from all over the world. I particularly thanks and shout out to folks in India, where it's quite late already in the evening, to my friend Tula Dlamini in South Africa, who's been a great champion of this work. Together, I've had a chance to work with Tula for over now 30 years in this space. So again, let me start by thanking Maricopa County Supervisors, especially Chair Bill Gates, who has been with us from the get-go. I won't restate the arc of conversation, but this did not happen overnight. In fact, I've been in this space of digital equity and working on digital inclusion for the better part of 20 years. And I can tell you it has become an overnight success 20 years in the making. And it really does behoove us to take a moment not only to celebrate the opportunity this week, but because we have people joining us today from all over the nation who've likewise been in this work for 20 years, and some of them even longer. I think it warrants me just saying a word about why this is actually such a difficult topic to work on. I would start with kind of a kind of preview of a conclusion, which is that change happens at the speed of trust. I'll let that sink in for just a minute. It's really hard when we use different language, we have different mindsets, we have different needs, we have different starting points in our lives, and our priorities are actually oftentimes not fully aligned. It's really hard to actually bring together and build a coalition of the willing to find a way to build trust that this is not a zero-sum game. This is really a strategy for how to support everyone in the communities within which we work, we study, we play, and we raise families, and we try to live the highest quality life that we can. That is, as I say, an extraordinarily difficult issue to accomplish because we are not well set up for having conversations about where, in fact, our different language, our different geographies, where we start from, our different priorities, those conversations really are extremely hard to come by. And so thanks to ShapingEDU, thanks to the work that Erin Carr-Jordan is leading in this work, we have an opportunity to actually underscore how important it is to tell our stories to one another and to encourage others in their languages and in their hopes and desires to tell their story, as well as, again, the challenges that they are seeking to overcome is a significantly important activity for us to work on. I would share that it's also extremely important to understand this, at least in my view, the centrality of what I have called for many, many years, and it's now part of the actual official bureaucratic language, community anchor institutions. Why is ASU engaged in this kind of work? After all, turns out, while we're not singular in the country, we're one of the few institutions that is, as a community anchor institution, that really has stepped up and offered to leverage the fantastic diversity of our student body, 140,000 students. Many of them come from communities that are, generally speaking, underrepresented, underserved, or even unserved. And certainly we found that out, as Chairman Gates said, during COVID, a huge issue. But for ASU in particular, this is really fundamental to our charter. And our charter aspires to do three things. One is to support access to education to everyone who is interested in education. And that is a fundamental North Star for us. Secondly, when we do research, and a lot of the work that Chairman Gates outlined in terms of where the funding is going, is actually meant to evaluate, not just spend the dollars, but evaluate whether or not they're making a difference. And that's the kind of research we want to do. And then thirdly, and this is the central theme here, which is that we are committed to being socially embedded in the communities within which we work and serve. And this digital equity initiative is, again, an extremely important example where, even though we come from very different places and we have very different, in fact, we speak different languages, we have different needs, we have different priorities, what binds us together here is a fundamental commitment to a value that we can leverage technology to actually engage the community and attend to their priorities, not necessarily ours first, but the community's priorities, and help them to articulate what those priorities are, so that in fact we can raise the quality of life for everyone in Arizona and hopefully be an exemplar to others across the country and around the world of how to work together in partnership to achieve these goals. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Lev. I'm so glad you could join us. Now we'd like to welcome Governor Stephen Roe Lewis to the stage. Oops, let's go back to you. There we are. Governor Lewis is from Gila River Indian Community. So thank you so much, Governor Lewis.
Skug Sialik. Good morning, everyone. Anya Anap Chugat, Governor Stephen Roe Lewis, the Gila River Indian Community, Amjut, Sakatone, Guaki, the Gila River Indian Community. It's an honor to be here at this very visionary event virtually. Behind me is our namesake, the Kuriakamo, the Gila River. This is our lifeblood. This is our historic tie to a sacred body of water that sustains us. And as we look into technology in the future, technology and broadband, high-speed internet, those are also important links to our future, to our sustainability. And so in response to a question about the state of the digital divide in Indian country, I would say this is still a major issue for many tribes. Now, I know that digital inclusion is an important topic, timely, and for a state institution such as Arizona State University, making sure that even the first Arizonans, before there was an Arizona, tribes are included in digital inclusion in and of itself is an important and should be a top priority, because this is still a major issue among tribes here in Arizona. But it's getting better. Tribes have often been left out of the planning and funding for the necessary digital infrastructure for bringing that divide, bridging that divide rather, for our members. Now, the danger of this was nowhere more evident than during these last 2.5 years, the pandemic. Tribes across the country paid an enormous price for being unconnected to the internet. Our schools suffered, our government services suffered, our citizens suffered. But as tribes tackled the pandemic, we realized that it was essential for us to accelerate our efforts to connect our members to the internet. And we also got resources to do so. First in the CARES Act, then in the ARPA, and finally even more in the bipartisan infrastructure law. Because of the depth of the digital divide on our community, at the time we shut down our government, schools, businesses, and moved all of our activities literally virtually to the internet. We needed to devise ways to immediately improve broadband access on the reservation, while at the same time investing in an accelerated fiber optic installation project. At the time, only about 30% of our reservation was wired with fiber optic cables. So we had to take some extraordinary timely measures to improve the internet access for our members across the community. So we invested in things such as cell on wheels trucks, which we could deploy and park in our neighborhoods and our villages or our district buildings to improve cell coverage so that our students could attend their virtual classes. We provided jetpacks or hotspots for internet service to students and government workers. We installed area Wi-Fi in our districts, our district buildings, so that our students, members, and workers could use the Wi-Fi either in the buildings or in their cars in the parking lots. We also accelerated the installation of 2 already designed new cell towers to improve cell and internet service in some of the more remote areas of our reservation. So when we realized that many of the internet customers on reservation could not afford high-speed internet, even when it was available, we decided to provide an internet boost. to all members using CARES Act funds to do so beginning in 2020. At the same time, working with our Gila River Telecommunications Company, something that Mr. Mikhail Sundust will be talking about, I see later on the agenda. We also initiated a rapid expansion of our fiber optic installation program. Now, using CARES Act funding, we doubled the number of homes with high-speed internet through the installation of fiber optic cable, increasing the share of households receiving high-speed internet from 30% to 60% in just 1 year. We're continuing that program now, and we hope to have all 2,300 households, as well as our businesses and government offices, on fiber optic cable at the end of 2023. And this year, we received the first NTIA grant to help deepen the understanding of our people for how the high-speed internet will change their lives. And this is such a significant step and important to ensure that they are ready, willing, and able to take full advantage of high-speed internet in the future. And we're not alone in making this kind of progress. Just recently, at the end of August, the Biden administration announced another $105 million in grants to 5 different tribes in Arizona, intended to help connect another 33,000 homes with high-speed internet in the coming months and years. The culmination of a big push by our delegation led by Congressman Tom O'Halloran, and this is indicative of how things are changing on the ground for tribes. As always, however, there is more to be done than has been done, but we are making progress. The Biden administration has committed that they will not leave tribal communities behind, and the establishment of its Internet for All tribal broadband connectivity program is a milestone in that effort. And as tribes, it's important for us now to use the funding that's available, make the right investments, but also to ensure that our needs and our voices are heard as decisions are made affecting our futures. It'll be essential that we remain engaged at the table and committed to take full advantage of the opportunities. Mosapo, thank you.
Thank you so much, Governor Lewis. Now I'd like to introduce Angela T. Bennett. Angela, welcome.
All right, thanks, Stephanie. As Stephanie shared, my name is Angela B. Bennett, and I am honored to serve as your Digital Equity Director under the United States Department of Commerce's National Telecommunications and Information Administration, NTIA. My pronouns are she and her. I am a female of Vietnamese and African descent. I am speaking from my home, and I am wearing a burgundy and black dress with a black blazer. So I really want to thank you all for inviting me here with you today at the Arizona Digital Inclusion Celebration Summit as we kick off Digital Inclusion Week around the country, with this year's theme being turning our moments into movement, as we are in the middle of a turning point and a moment for progress in the digital inclusion movement. The pandemic revealed what many of us already knew too well, that access to affordable, reliable, high-speed internet is a basic necessity. Yet millions of people in our country have no internet access at all, and many who do still face slow connection speeds and inadequate service. Without it, our learners can't access online classes. Our seniors can't access healthcare from the comfort and safety of their own homes. And job seekers can't apply for jobs because all of the applications are now online. When our learners and their families and caregivers do not have access to a basic necessity, we send a very strong message. You are not worthy. When our communities can't get online to go to the doctor, pay bills, go to work or school, or even to just communicate with their friends and loved ones, as I know I love to do with my grandson on FaceTime, we are telling them that they don't deserve to live full lives. When some people can access the economic opportunities that the internet provides and others can't, we are telling those left out that we are content with allowing the inequities in our society to continue. However, there's hope. And when there's hope, anything is possible. You just have to believe and have a will. And here in America, at this point of time in history, the stars have all aligned. We believe, we have a will, and there is funding. President Biden pledged to make sure that every American has access to affordable, reliable, high-speed internet and the tools and resources they need for full participation in our 21st century economy and in society. Last November, under President Biden's leadership, Congress tasked NTIA with $48 billion to ensure that every household in America has access to affordable, reliable, high-speed internet for all. But it didn't stop there. The Internet for All initiative will meaningfully address the fundamental economic, educational, social, and health-related inequities in our country by connecting all Americans, particularly the members of our communities who have been excluded by design. Under the Biden-Harris administration, what sits at the center of our service is the American people. Under the Internet for All initiative, states are required to coordinate their efforts in the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, known as BEAD, and the Digital Equity Program to ensure that we are focused on while we are focused on the technical aspects of broadband, we don't lose sight of our purpose, and that is the people. Because the reality is, if we connect 100% of Americans to reliable high-speed internet, and we do not improve their quality of life, then what have we really achieved? As Lev discussed earlier, it will be critical for our states to go to the tables of those most impacted and listen, because we know that robust, meaningful local engagement is key for co-designing solutions with our communities, so there isn't a disconnect between what the communities need and what we think the solutions should be. So in closing, as we are recovering from the pandemic and moving into our new normal, I strongly urge you to remain steadfast in our sense of urgency. We must all come together as a nation to make sure our actions line up with our words. In the words of Angela Davis, you have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time. And we won't stop until everyone in America can thrive. I am truly honored and excited about the work that we will all do together and for the transformational impact on our communities, our states, our nation, and Americans everywhere. And I want to thank each of you for all that you have done and will continue to do to help make the lives of every Arizonan better. And thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you today.
Thank you so much, Angela. Great to hear from you. Great to see you. We're now going to take a peek at the word cloud that we created earlier. And to do that, I will share my screen and we can look at the word cloud. There we go. So what was the most important thing to everyone here? We got a lot of folks talking about empowerment and access, and something that's covered in the middle that I'm going to say collaboration is what it looks like to me. So thank you all so much for participating in that. It's really cool to be able to get that kind of instant feedback from you, and we welcome that throughout the rest of the event. So on that note, we're going to go back to talking about broadband. So we're going to hear from folks from AT&T, Cox Communications, Verizon, and the Sun Corridor Network. So first up, we have Toni Broberg. Toni, welcome.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me. I hope everybody can hear and see me. As Stephanie just said, my name is Toni Broberg. I am president of AT&T for the Desert States, covers Arizona, New Mexico. I have brown hair, I'm Hispanic and woman, and I'm wearing a navy dress with a navy blazer, pearl earrings, and very happy to be here. So I hope those descriptions are helpful. So, this is such an important issue, and, we've heard so many great and varied speakers, and, companies and businesses have a huge responsibility in this area to make sure that we're providing, number one, accessibility to people, our customers, but also really what we're doing philanthropically and for people who maybe don't have the accessibility or access that, maybe our customers do. So we've been working really hard over the last few years to really invest in our wireless network. Here in Arizona, AT&T is a wireless company primarily, but still a lot of people use, they use their cell phones as, primary access to the internet and other services. So over the last 5 years, just in Arizona alone, AT&T has invested $625 million into upgrading and getting our network up to where it needs to be, because we all know, people are using more and more data and using their phones, computers, everything to do everything from streaming, but really in this case to education and other things that can help enrich their lives. But really what I wanted to focus on is really how we're helping bridge the digital divide and what we're doing philanthropically. I read a really interesting study, Morning Consult survey said that 35% of parents and 39% of teachers basically said that they had to seek internet connection elsewhere outside of the home, like community centers, libraries, friends and family houses. So you can see that this is, continuing to be a huge issue. I think everybody's alluded to the fact that COVID really laid bare the ineffectiveness and the inefficiencies and the disparities of, a lot of children and students, and frankly, adults who don't have internet access. That same study found 73% of parents and 70% of teachers basically said that they know that education is going to be more and more reliant on technology accessibility. And we're seeing that, if you go into schools nowadays, they're using iPads, they're using other platforms to, have integrated learning, and we only are going to see that grow. And we understood, obviously, with virtual learning, how important those networks are. So AT&T knows that we have a responsibility to help address this. And so last year, AT&T, we invested $2 billion specifically to address the digital divide through our foundation. And specifically, we have what we created as AT&T Connected Learning Centers across the country, which is really meant to expand access and connectivity services for those who don't have it, and really about creating digital literacy platforms and teaching people how to adopt technology once they have access to it. But it's about educational content and tutoring, and really making sure that people have support if they don't know how to access that. But let me talk about what we're doing in Arizona specifically. So we've been working, and we do work every year with local nonprofits to figure out what innovative and really interesting nonprofits are doing with students about the digital divide and accessibility. So for example, I'll just give you a few of what we did just this year. We worked with the Tucson Children's Museum to help fund their ALTO program. That's the Adventure Learning Program and outreach. And what they do is they go to underserved and underrepresented communities, either virtual or in person, to give them hands-on STEM learning. That's one. Recently, we give to the Yavapai Big Brothers and Big Sisters, specifically looking at underrepresented youth and providing educational and employment training specifically in the tech sector. Sorry, I think I have these really bad allergies, so pardon me if I'm coughing a lot. And then we also did this really cool program with the Arizona Science Center. And we're supporting their STEM education program that's providing 500 pre-K students in tribal communities specifically via their Science on Wheels, and they provide that both in person and virtually. So like I said, this is a really big initiative that AT&T is taking on. In addition to that, you'll hear a lot of kind of these programs that we have, but I think a lot of investment is going into it. We have a $6 million contribution nationwide to bring bilingual in-person digital literacy workshops to across the country. And that's over 400 libraries, because as I mentioned, that statistic says that when you have children who don't have access at home, they go to their libraries and their community centers. So we're doing 3 of those here in Arizona: Camp Verde Community Library, the Flagstaff Coconino Public Library, and down south in the Pima County Public Library. So stay tuned for what AT&T is doing in partnership with those organizations. And just lastly, I'll just mention that we also, AT&T as a company, invested $3 million into the Khan Academy, which is an online platform that provides educational resources for students that need to play either catch up on curriculum that they maybe missed in the last year, or summer curriculum that they need to catch up on. So I wanted to fit that all in there in my allotted time and not go over, but I just want to thank ASU for giving AT&T the opportunity to talk on this. There's a lot of exciting things going on locally. And what I always say is, I live in Phoenix, I'm an Arizonan, I'm an ASU graduate. And so I want to make sure that we're doing right by our customers, but really, more as a citizen, and AT&T is really committed to this. So we're happy to be partners with you all. And if there's anything or any ideas, we are more than open to having it. I'm here local. So thank you so much. And we appreciate it. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Toni. So good to hear from you. And again, to connect with the folks that are speaking today, just go to shapingedu.asu.edu, click on events, and you'll see a page that lists everyone's a link to everyone's LinkedIn page. So you can connect there and initiate conversations there, and our speakers welcome that. So next up, we have Stephanie Healy. Always good to meet another Stephanie from Cox. Welcome.
Thanks. Thank you, Stephanie. And I do want to just say very quickly to Toni, not only are you helping students with your investment in Khan Academy, you're helping parents like me. If anybody has to remember how to do geometry for a teenager, I use Khan Academy all the time. So thank you for that from me. A note about me, I am Stephanie Healy. I'm the Director of Public Affairs here at Cox Communications. Today, I am wearing a blue shirt and a white jacket. Don't judge me for wearing white after Labor Day. I have brown hair. I'm a proud Ukrainian. I'm joining today from my home office, and hopefully over my shoulder is probably a peacock and one of my favorite little pictures, which is a 1944 cowgirl, which kind of just reminds me to keep at it most days. So I am working with one of the acronyms that was mentioned earlier, an ISP, Cox Communications, Internet Service Provider. I sit here in Southern Arizona, and I'm really fortunate to be charged with and working on our market expansion, our market growth, and our digital equity initiatives here in Arizona. A little bit about Cox and our why. We are a fairly simple why. Our why is to empower people today to build a better future for the next generation. We don't take it lightly. We know that role that we play with broadband is important to our communities. And one of the ways that we activate our purpose is having a long-standing commitment to our digital equity investments as well. It's not something new to us. I often talk about a formula when it comes to digital equity, which is access plus adoption. I won't spend too much time this morning on access, but the ingredients to providing affordable and reliable high-speed broadband include network expansion and investments. And right now at Cox, we've committed to well over $400 million over the next 3 years to expand our footprint, $75 million to date to expand here in Arizona. So we're growing and moving to communities like Arizona City, the city of Maricopa, San Manuel, Oracle, Black Canyon, Huachuca City, Sierra Vista, Eloy, Toltec, amongst many others. And we're continuing to build out and grow our network all across Arizona, specifically for un- and underserved communities. And that's a little bit on the access piece. So let me take a moment just to click into adoption, or the second part of the digital equity equation, as I like to call it. Remember, digital equity is really essentially access, being able to serve unserved and underserved, and then adoption. So if access is about how do we get broadband to unserved and underserved populations, then adoption is answering the question of how do we promote adoption or simply utilization of broadband for households that are currently not using it today. And I know you're going to spend a lot of time today talking about barriers to adoption, obstacles to adoption, and solutions for adoption. And we're really kind of focused specifically on how do you get users, households, speeds, quality, and the capacity to do common tasks? What are the digital skills? We talked a little bit about that earlier today. What are the digital skills that are necessary to participate online, and making sure you have personal devices that are secure and convenient to work on the network. So this isn't something that is new to us. It's been well over 20 years. Cox has been dedicated to making internet accessible for students and families. We've gone about that in a couple of different ways. Connect to Compete was launched here actually in Arizona at the Sunnyside School District over 10 years ago. We also have a program called Connect Assist, again, helping to drive affordability obstacles out of the equation for many households and families. We have partnerships with PCs for People. We work on literacy training, and I have a digital academy. But what I want to spend just a minute on with all of you is something that we're really proud of. It's a 20+ year partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of America. In fact, my team is in Sierra Vista today with Malcolm Mitchell, a former Super Bowl champion, but also most importantly, the CEO of Making Magic Happen, a digital literacy foundation based in Atlanta. But we have well over 100 innovation labs that we've invested in across Boys and Girls Clubs, all across our footprint, all across America, over 30 of them here in Arizona. Our kind of next gen innovation labs include STEM devices, robotics, we include drones, we have a host of different things that the students and families can access. Our kind of next gen, most exciting piece of this is the sustainability, or looking at intersectionality and connecting tower gardens, which allows students to learn about environmentalism and sustainability in addition to technology. So continuing to invest in that. You'll see some announcements here in the coming months in Arizona, specifically for Boys and Girls Club. I'll be here throughout the presentations today and invite you to reach out to me if I can answer any questions about what we're doing here in Arizona or in any of our communities. We'll also be assisting and supporting a dialogue here in Southern Arizona tomorrow with the Tucson Chamber of Commerce around building public-private partnerships, and invite any of you to reach out to me for more information about that, or if you'd like to join as well. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie. Now we'll hear from Derek Masseth from Sun Corridor Network. Derek, how are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm well. Thank you for having me. I'm Derek Masseth. I'm the Executive Director of the Sun Corridor Network. I'll get into what that is here in a minute, but first let me cover I am a male of European descent, brown hair, and I'm using the background of today's digital inclusion event that looks a little bit like a dandelion flower. I do have headphones on, and so in the background of the headphone, you can see a little bit of my patio. It's a beautiful day here in Tucson, and I'm sitting outside on the patio, enjoying all of the speakers thus far. So a little bit about Sun Corridor Network. So we've been around for 9 years, almost 10. We'll be celebrating 10 in the coming year. And we are Arizona's research and education network. So we were founded by, and we remain housed within, the Arizona University system. So we're fundamentally a collaboration between the three universities with a mission to deliver internet services and other connectivity services that are tailored to and specific for the unique needs of education and other public service organizations. So very proud to be a part of Arizona's educational ecosystem, focused on broadband. While Governor Stephen Roe Lewis was talking about rivers and how important they are to our native communities and really to all of us, I got to thinking about comparisons with broadband, and not to suggest that broadband is as important as water. It is interesting how similarly, broadband networks come together in much the same ways as rivers do, where they're, out at the edges and the tributaries, they're thin and very specific to the area in which they exist and serve, and they kind of drain into these large, massive ecosystems that in the broadband ecosystem, we would call that a data center. And then those data centers are connected to communities with middle mile fiber that are often measured by the hundreds and delivering lots of capacity. And then those are broken down smaller into community-facing last mile ecosystems that are sometimes wired, sometimes on a phone line, sometimes on a coax cable, sometimes on a fiber optic cable, and sometimes also wireless. And so Sun Corridor Network has been active in advancing, digital connectivity throughout the state, as we've assisted the state in putting together the middle mile ecosystem in the state's interstate highway system to enable smart traffic and to add
Derek, are you with us?
Sorry, my apologies, my
Welcome back.
sincerest apologies. Yeah.
No worries.
Bluetooth. One of my trucks started in the driveway and it took Bluetooth over. Anyway, so I was talking about interstates and broadband, and let's just fast forward to we've been very active with our partners in the educational space in the digital inclusion landscape, connecting students from their homes to their school networks in Maryvale, working with counties like Yuma County and now Maricopa County to advance large-scale middle mile plus last mile plus digital inclusion ecosystems throughout the state. We've been doing that work in both Yuma, Coconino, and down in Cochise County. Looking forward to working with Pima County here soon. And I guess lastly, let me touch on, so one of the things that I think I'm most excited about with the work that we're going to get started here with Maricopa County is really, as Supervisor Gates laid out, the holistic nature of that program is really, really very exciting. Starting with mapping and then advancing to digital equity and community responsiveness, and then ultimately, pulling together the middle mile, which I talked about a little bit, with last mile efforts to get broadband into those communities that we've, built that trust with through the digital equity work and through the community responsive aspects. And so the last thing I'll mention as I come up on my time is that we can't do this without a very robust ecosystem of partners. We couldn't do our work here at Sun Corridor Network without working with literally every provider in the state and with every community in the state. So we look forward to doing that. And again, my sincere apologies for my Bluetooth faux pas. Hope that wasn't too distracting. Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much, Derek. No worries about the technical glitch. It's our first of today, and I'm sure will not be the last if things happen. Now we'd like to welcome Matt Clark. Matt, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I guess I'll just kick off today and say I apologize for being in a polo. It seems like everybody else is so better dressed, but our CEO wears a t-shirt and a jacket to all of his meetings with shareholders and others. So I figured I can get around with a little bit of dressing down to today's meeting. So I appreciate your flexibility. I also want to thank Erin and ASU for inviting us to attend the meeting and to talk a lot about how Verizon is tackling digital equity. I think, as many of your speakers have already highlighted and we continue to discuss, COVID really ripped the Band-Aid off and shone a light on how essential having strong connectivity is and how essential broadband is for everyone, but also the need for a holistic kind of all-in approach of both fiber and wireless technology moving forward. So again, I'd like to walk through a couple of ways that Verizon has remained committed to providing digital equity to not only the state and all of our customers in it, but a way of how we look at approaching it as society as a whole. So first and foremost, I like to talk about the Verizon Innovative Learning Schools program, which is it represents a $2.3 million investment to Title I middle schools. Arizona is, I believe, the second or third largest recipient of those programs. And it provides an all-inclusive type of experience for both students and teachers. So the first thing that we provide is data, so to ensure that when these students are at schools and accessing the devices and others, they have the data that's necessary to connect onto our 5G network and experience all that provides. We feel that it's essential that they not experience any kind of interruptions or whatnot to ensure that they're really experiencing all that the network has to offer and all society has to offer. The second is a very inclusive and all hands on deck type of training session that we provide to all of the teachers. It's a multi-day session where they really learn how to operate and help the students when they get these devices, how they'll connect, how they'll use them, what are the safety features and whatnot, and really try to get them prepared so that they can shepherd these students onto this new knowledge platform that they didn't have access to before. And finally, what is my favorite day is the device distribution day. And that's where we give all of the devices to the kids. The smiles, the screams, the excitement that exists among all these students is really second to none, as this is often the first time that many of them are having their very own device, their very own opportunity to use it and to learn from it and experience it. And again, we feel that it is necessary to make this commitment at this age and this grouping so that they can use it moving forward for their educational and economic development. Again, it remains critical to all that they do. And then I'll touch separately on the next program we have, which is a partnership with ASU. And it's been so successful that they're now copying it in South Carolina. But ASU is the first, and as an ASU grad, I know it is the best and will continue to shine. And that is the ASU Innovation Lab in partner with the Verizon 5G network. And there, that group is putting together what I believe will be the future of 5G and how people will live and learn and play in ways that were never imagined before. Right now, you can go into that center, you can sit down and put on a VR headset, and around a group of 18 students can sit and share and dissect something in real time and make it grow and make it shrink. They can walk on the surface of Mars. All of these incredible, wonderful learning technologies that make me very, very jealous of how I learned and how my kids and grandkids will learn. And it will change the future, not only in education, but business as well. They're currently working on programs with Intel about how to properly dress when you're doing chip manufacturing to improve productivity and cut costs. This can be available to city managers as they're looking to develop land and what are the water uses and how do we manage transportation, and they can do it real time and pull it out. And I joke whenever you sit down and experience, and if you haven't, please try and find a way to get there. It's incredible. But I joke about how I can barely put together a spreadsheet with the 3D graphics and whatnot. And now you can sit inside a virtual reality platform and you can make it grow or you can make it shrink. And it really is changing how the world will operate and how we move forward. Again, I cannot thank all of you for the partnerships that we have. Verizon is committed not only through our multiple collaborative partners, but also with how we provide our foundational dollars to ensure that we're going to meet the community where they are, to provide them with the programs and services they need, whether it's through the Boys and Girls Club, the Valley United Way, or others. We just remain committed to the state in helping to bridge that digital divide and bring digital equity to our customers and the state as a whole. So thank you very much. Feel free to reach out with any questions that you have.
Thank you so much, Matt. Now we're going to move on to talking about affordable connectivity program and digital navigators. So to guide us through this, we'll hear from Lyle from the FCC, also from Common Sense Media, the ASU Experience Center, Connect Arizona, and Digital Connect. So we'd like to start off with a question for you. We want to make sure that your voice is heard, so please put into the chat. You can do this throughout the presentation as you hear things and they spark interest in you. What ACP and Digital Navigator projects should be prioritized in 2023? So let us know your thoughts on the subject, and we'll collect those in the chat and share them back with our speakers today so they know what your thoughts are. So let's go ahead and hear from Lyle. Welcome, Lyle.
Hi, hello everybody, and happy National Digital Inclusion Week, everybody. Woohoo! Let's celebrate. There's so much great work going on across the country in communities at national desks to make sure that we do not have a population that is left behind on broadband. And so thank you in advance if I don't call you out for all of your work. The FCC has been working on ACP outreach and engagement with digital navigators for a bit now. So our perspective on digital navigators are the more local, the better. We communicate through digital navigators through engagements we have, through referrals we have through many of you, and I see on the list that we've worked with many of you in the past, so that when we have people who hit our book an ACP speaker button on fcc.gov/ACP, it might be the Kiwanis Club of Rockville, Maryland, but these guys have a connection to senior centers, et cetera. And so our engagement digital navigators work in a couple ways. One, to empower them with information and a safe place that they can come back for additional questions. We have them co-host train the trainer events for people who are local. And then we are rolling out enrollment events with the digital navigators because we feel like that's the next step. So there are a big population of households that still have not enrolled in the program. Columbia University has estimated over the summer that about 48.7 million households would be eligible for the ACP. Our enrollment numbers as of this morning were just over 14 million. And so how are we going to do that? We're going to do that with partnerships that leverage things and information as people communicate where they live and where they work. We've worked with ASU in the past on an enrollment event, an enrollment effort to Haitian-speaking migrants. And so we're going to use that as a model. So ASU's ShapingEDU says there's this group of Haitian migrants who do not have access, and they represent a really unique and difficult to reach population. So we happen to have outreach materials in Haitian Creole, and we flooded the area with Haitian Creole material. We conducted 3 or 4 train the trainer events with the teenagers of the Haitian church community, and then went down there for an enrollment session. And so there's nothing more empowering for people who are working in the community and in this ecosystem, trying to get folks in through affordable broadband, to see an effort made so that primarily Haitian-speaking consumers enroll their household on site and get enrolled into ACP program on site and have an appointment scheduled to drop off their router. We think that this is something we can replicate on scale. We have the folks, we have the interest, we're doing this now. So outreach at fcc.gov is my team and I. We're really anxious to kind of replicate that in larger or smaller scale, work with other partners. There's so much great work going on here from folks who are in the ecosystem, that we don't want to compete, right? So we're all working hard and we're all working well. So let's all work together. Working together, we don't want cost to be the red line to establish 2 realities of broadband adoption and broadband use. in America. So outreach@fcc.gov. Please ping us if you're interested in working together. That's sort of our model, and that's our take on using digital local navigators. And with that, the mind can only take what the seat can endure. So I'm going to end now with our thanks to our host for the invitation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lyle. Now we're going to move on to hear from Ilana from Common Sense Media. And Ilana, I know you have some slides, so I'm going to stop sharing and give you the ability to
Thank you.
share your screen. Go ahead.
Hopefully you all can hear me. Real quick, I am from Eastern Europe descent. I am female. My name is pronounced Elena Lowery. I have brown hair and glasses, and I am obviously not obviously, I am in an office environment with my yellow lab, Luca, right underneath my desk at my feet. So I am going to share my screen with you all. And I seem to be the first one using some slides. So we'll go through these fairly quickly, but I really thought it was important for you to understand who Common Sense is. We are a leading nonprofit dedicated to helping kids thrive in a world of media and technology. And for the past 19 years, we have informed and we have empowered families, educators, and policymakers to harness the power of media and technology as a positive force for all kids' lives. And we do this in 3 ways. We rate, we educate, and we advocate for children. So in Arizona, our objectives, we opened our office in late 2018 in Arizona. We're a national nonprofit. So these are some of our objectives here in Arizona. And clearly what I'm going to talk about, which is ACP, falls right into the work that we're doing. So this is just some data that hasn't been necessarily brought up yet, but we all know that we have underserved families, many low-income families we know don't have broadband, and they cite the cost as the main reason. So much of low-income families' budget we know goes to food, housing, transportation, and it's a problem because services like tutoring, banking, job hunting, prescription maintenance, psychiatry, doctor's appointment, all of these things are services that they won't have access to online. And another facet to the problem is not only does expensive broadband mean low-income families can't get online, it really also means that there's little incentive to build or upgrade networks in low-income areas. And we've talked about this with some of our other speakers, and we know that there is a lot going on. So I'm so excited that we can share this information. We know what the ACP is. We've talked about it a little bit. This just looks at the eligibility requirements. I'm not going to go into the fact that I think everybody knows that it's a $30 a month benefit. But we also know that, oh, there's my dog now, right on schedule. We also know that it's important to get people to become more aware of the program. So, Luca, he wants to participate as well. So let's talk a little bit about what we're doing in Arizona, because I know I only have a couple of minutes. So we created a website, getmyinternet.org. We've had 40,000 clicks since our campaign launched in Arizona, August 15th. We've had more than 1,000 calls to our bilingual call center where Phoenix residents can get help enrolling online. And I'm going to talk about that in a second when I talk about our great partnerships. Enrollment has increased in Arizona, about 27,000 new enrollments. And that's great, but unfortunately there's more work to be done because fewer than 1 in 3 eligible households are getting the benefit that they're entitled to. So I mentioned our great partners. The Digital Equity Institute is working with Common Sense, collaborating and sharing ideas and campaign support. Also, the ASU Experience Center, we love them. They've given us staff support and IVR management for the call center. They've provided us with daily data during weekly meetings. And God bless them, they're training digital navigators as well as helping with some sign-up events. Our campaign in Arizona looks a little bit like this if you haven't seen it. We've done traditional campaigns, as well as, and by traditional, I mean, advertising on television, media outreach, all of that great stuff. We also have a PSA that we put together, as well as getting a PSA from the Phoenix mayor. And
I'm Phoenix Mayor Kate Guy.
I wasn't gonna say that because I don't have a lot of time. And
having access to the internet has never been more important.
This is all available to you. But really quick, I have a few seconds left, so I want to talk about the event that we're doing with, with Chicanos por la Causa this Friday. This is some of the collateral for that event. We're doing a sign-up event. We're providing information for folks that pre-register so that when they come, we have wonderful volunteers that are going to help with navigation. We also are going to provide those that didn't pre-register with information like you see on the screen, so that they know what they need to have so that they can then call the hotline and sign up. I did not realize that 5 minutes went by so fast, Stephanie. So we have all the information that you need in the slide deck, and I have a feeling that Stephanie and her team is going to figure out a way to get all this great stuff to you. So I just want to thank everybody who's on the call for doing such great work. We're really trying hard. This is how you can reach me. Again, I will make sure that you also can get access to our free online tools for getting started on the internet if you want to use them with the outreach that you're doing. But yeah, so that's it, Stephanie. I'm out of time. I see.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you joining us. And yes, we will get these materials out to folks that attended so they can share with their own community. So with that, we will move on to our friends from the ASU Experience Center. Gigi, how are you? Alexa, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having us. And Elena, we love working with you too. So super excited about all of this. My name is Gigi Speaks. I am the director here at ASU of our support center, which is also known as the Experience Center. And I just want to share a little bit about what the Experience Center is. You know, we were established in 2014, and the purpose was really to provide a high touch support that would drive higher retention, ultimately lead to higher graduation rates and overall student success. And right now we are so lucky to have the opportunity to leverage our very large team to help our community in such a meaningful way by partnering with the Digital Equity Institute. The Experience Center will be the primary point of contact for support and access to services. Some of the work we've done to date includes providing a dedicated toll-free number with the ability to speak with our callers in over 300 languages. We offer the ability to chat with us. We have created an intake process to sign up for broadband access. We have a great training team that have created training modules to prepare our team to support these types of calls, as well as expanding our modules to include digital fluency training by partnering with learning.com. Wanted to say a special thank you to Barnaby Wasan and Brian Rose, who are on the call. We have also developed a customized Salesforce community to ensure privacy for these participants through our support process. Again, this is information that we gather so that we can have better support for these callers, but keeping it extremely private and secure and only visible to our team. And lastly, on the next slide, our staff are ready to expand our role as digital navigators. And I'm going to hand it off to Alexa to take it away.
Man, you got through that lightning fast.
I'm trying to go quick. And I'm sorry, I forgot to say, you know, I am Hispanic descent. I am wearing a black and white dress, and I have a picture Zoom background with ASU and some fire around it because we are on fire for this cause. So I'll hand it over to Alexa. Sorry, Alexa.
Yeah, no problem. So I am a white, feminine presenting person. I have short brown hair with shaved sides, and I'm wearing a very trippy blazer that is half beige and half black with white stripes. So yeah, I am digital navigator lead, and I have experience also being a digital navigator. And as a digital navigator, I focus on 4 aspects of a community member's relationship with technology. Right now, a lot of us are focused on one. Are they connected to the internet? We cannot sign people up for ACP over the phone, but we can answer their questions and give them the time and support they need to get through the ACP process and then get connected. Time and time again, we hear, "Thank you. I know what to do now. I didn't get it, but I feel like I can do it now. I don't know if I could have done this without you." But that's really just the beginning. Number two, do they have the devices and skills they need to access that internet? From discounted devices to tech support, they need the right tools and teaching to actually use those devices and get that internet. Now, let's put the device and those skills to use with number three. What do they need to learn to be empowered and improve their equality of life? Communication tools like Zoom, online shopping for groceries for people who are homebound, online banking, telehealth have become a necessity. All of us have hit on these things. So basically, we could stop there. Already, we have accomplished so much and people's quality of life has greatly changed. But what if they don't want to stop? Well, we don't want to either. So number four, how do we transition their relationship with technology from survival mode to exploration mode? Let's talk about education opportunities, free online classes, online degrees. What about workforce development, certifications, and then of course, online job opportunities that are only online. So wherever a community member is along on this journey, a digital navigator can help them get the learning and resources they need to thrive online, not just survive, but to actually thrive.
Excellent. Thanks, Alexa and Gigi. We appreciate you joining us. And my Alexa just popped up in my office here. So
I was going to warn you.
got to come up with a nickname for you, Alexa. Next up, we have Brandon Knight from Connect Arizona. Brandon, welcome.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And is it okay if I go ahead and share my screen?
Absolutely. I will stop sharing and now you have the power.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Brandon Knight, project manager with Connect Arizona. We're a digital navigator program with the Arizona State Library. We're a completely remote service available to Arizonans statewide via call, text, email, and video chat with Zoom. Our team currently consists of 4 navigators, including 2 bilingual Spanish speakers. We're looking to add a 3rd bilingual Spanish speaker soon. We have been in operation since July 2020 and have currently helped over 1,100 Arizonans with almost 3,000 tech tutoring and help sessions. So what we're here to help with, we provide free remote tech tutoring. This can be very basic lessons. So for example, how to navigate a computer from the ground up, a phone or a tablet, same thing. How to create an email, how to use a word processing program. We also provide tutoring with intermediate lessons. So how to set up a store on Etsy or eBay, how to use photo editing software, how to convert PDFs to different format, for example. We allow up to 2 hours a week per each client for one-on-one sessions. We find that repeat sessions really work best for learning, retention, and confidence. And we meet each client where they're at with comfort, goals, and pace on tech learning. Empathy is at the forefront of what we do, so we always make sure to address the client's needs first and foremost, and implement soft conversational skills to provide a safe, friendly space for them to come back to frequently and get acquainted with and feel empowered by tech. We've also recently added North Star Digital Literacy to our organization, which allows us to do more formal lessons with clients and also do proctored assessments where they can earn a certificate demonstrating what they've learned in tech. These are both formally proctored, and then we also have assessments that they can take just for kind of a test to test it out, you know, just see where their skills are at. And both are completely optional. They can go with proctored or just work on, you know, assessments to kind of gauge where they're at. We also help with tech troubleshooting. If a client is having issues with their computer, phone, tablet, software, specific website or app, we can help them go through options and try to fix it one-on-one with them. And we help with information on the Affordable Connectivity Program, making sure clients get to the right application site and helping them work through issues in the application process. We also help with internet service provider research and finding the best deal in their area. We actually have an internet offers table that we have zip codes from all around Arizona cut into, you know, where providers are located, what deals they offer, do they offer an ACP plan? And we access this, we do research for the client, and then we provide them with a recommendation, a few recommendations if we can. And we also help with device research. If a client is looking to get a new computer, phone, tablet, or printer, anything like that, we can research devices based on their price range and needs and find the best available device for them. So how we help, we're available to meet with clients via call, text, email, and Zoom. Clients can make an appointment with us. We do have an application form on our website, but they're always welcome to do a walk-in call. And this also includes call, text, email. They can just, you know, give us one of those and we can start helping them from there. We also provide, in our addition to work with clients, resources for both the general public and other digital inclusion organizations on our website. These include a map of free Wi-Fi locations across the state of Arizona, directory for digital inclusion services in Arizona, links on where to find discounted computers, North Star Digital Literacy, as I mentioned before, for formal tech tutoring, and also DIY tech learning and proctored assessments on tech skills. We also have our ACP page for information and a guide on getting started with the ACP application process. And we also have community profiles that we built for what broadband and digital inequity look like in each county in Arizona. These are available to look at, download, and use as data if you need an illustration of digital inequity in your community. These can be very helpful to have for applying for grants or speaking with community leaders about digital inclusion. And that is it for me. If you have any questions or would like to find out more about Connect Arizona, feel free to reach out, contact me or our interim project coordinator, Cindy Hogan. We'd be happy to provide you with more info. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brandon. We appreciate that. Next up, we have Mikhail Sundust from Digital Connect. Mikhail, welcome.
Hello, Stephanie, and thank you everybody for being on the call today. I appreciate the opportunity to present and talk about what we're doing in Gila River. Again, my name is Mikhail Sundust. I am Akamir Otam and Piposh from the Gila River Indian community. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm wearing a bluish gray blazer with a button-up shirt. So I'm the Executive Director of Digital Connect. We operate in the Gila River Indian community, so I just wanted to give a little bit of an idea for folks who may be unfamiliar with the Gila River Indian community. We are just south of Phoenix, so you can see on the map here, Phoenix, Ahwatukee, Chandler, Queen Creek, and Levine, Avondale are all just north of us, and we're between that whole metropolitan area and Casa Grande to the south. Just to showcase some of the beauty of our community, we've got some really great projects going on in Gila River for riparian areas, and then new community centers, and of course everyone is probably familiar with our casino. So that's who we are. When I talk about Digital Connect, we are taking somewhat of a three-tiered approach, and we are very new to this whole field. So I've really enjoyed learning from everybody else on this call, and I can't wait to reach out to you all to learn some more. First, we're addressing immediate needs, and those are the digital skills that are necessary to interact and to achieve digital equity. Next is intermediate. I'm going to talk about economic advancement. And finally is some of our long-term goals. So when I talk about immediate needs, we're primarily focusing on working with our elders right now. And so you can see in the photos pictured here, some of my staff working with our elders at a recent event where we provide digital skills training and really just the foundational skills for digital literacy or digital inclusion. A lot of the elders during the pandemic felt disconnected from the rest of the community because they couldn't participate in things like community events or community meetings through WebEx or Zoom. So the community provided them with some tablets and some computers, but they also needed the skills necessary to participate. And so that's where our work comes in. We're also planning on working with the youth fairly soon here. We have, contacts with our local Boys and Girls Club. And later this month, we'll be working to provide touch typing classes, online safety classes, that sort of thing for the youth in our community. For intermediate goals, well, this is more long, or like, we're sort of getting started, so you'll see a bunch of stock photography here. But the goal here is to work towards economic advancement in our community. We have programs sort of in development for apprenticeship programs to help people learn to be fiber installation technicians in our community. We have a company called NTIA that does that, and we want to provide them with the certification so that they can acquire good paying careers. Also, those who are in the workforce looking to upskill, or entrepreneurs, because we have a lot of small business owners in our community that are really ambitious and hardworking, but having the technology to conduct their businesses in a rural tribal setting is something that they're looking for. That's what we want to do with them. And then long term, these are some photos from a local school in Gila River that we are in conversation with right now towards developing a STEM program. And we'd really like to work with the youth to inspire them for the next several generations to pursue careers, not only for their benefit, but also for the sustainability of our community. So just some things to wrap up here. We are hiring a digital navigator right now. The NDIA, we received a grant from the NDIA. We are an affiliate there, and we would like to hire somebody very soon before the end of the year. We've also received a grant from the NTIA to implement some of our projects. If you're interested, or if you know somebody who might be willing and able to apply for this job, it's at bit.ly/DCI-DN. That stands for Digital Connect Initiative Digital Navigator. And lastly, I invite you all to learn more about us by checking out our website, digitalconnect.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mikhail. I appreciate you being here. Next, we're going to talk about digital literacy. So what does that mean? It means different things to different folks. So we're going to talk a little bit about that with our friends from learning.com, Chicanos por la Casa, and the Phoenix Public Housing Authority. So before we dive in, we'd love to know what you think. So what digital literacy projects should we prioritize in 2023? So as things are discussed in the next few 15 minutes or so, if something really sparks interest in you and you think that that should be prioritized, we will let the speakers know. These are the decision makers that make things happen. So please don't be shy. Tell us what you think in the chat and we'll share that back out. So we will start off with Brian Rose from learning.com. Brian, welcome.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brian Rose. I'm a Senior Vice President at learning.com. Our mission is to ensure that all learners of all ages have the skills they need in order to effectively engage with our digital society. I'll back up and just describe myself. I am of European descent, proudly wearing my Genoa, Italy nose, brown hair, black shirt, and I also proudly display my father's memorial flag behind me. I'm calling in from Central Oregon coastland. I wanted to thank Erin Carr-Jordan and Gigi for all the work that we've been doing together. We are excited to participate in this initiative and to bring our expertise and our passion for digital literacy to the state of Arizona and beyond, frankly. I did have a presentation, but I think what I'll do is just talk through it. I really wanted to focus on what we're doing in the K-12 world today to address the digital divide and how we think that applies to all learners of all ages in Arizona. As we all know, the digital divide is really comprised in our mind of 4 different stages. One is access and connectivity. The second is digital readiness. The third is digital use. And then the fourth, and probably perhaps the most important, is representation. I won't spend a lot of time on access and connectivity, as there's people a lot smarter than myself here to address those issues. And I'm thankful that you are. Learning.com has benefited from the fact that there's been significant investment in schools for access and connectivity. And we've been working for over 20 years to assist teachers and students in school districts across the country to access the digital skills they need to be effective learners. What I will talk about a little bit is digital readiness. That's what we do, and we've been doing it for 20 years, helping kids acquire the digital skills they need to be effective learners. But what we do know is outside the school building, there's more than 70 million Americans that are not digitally ready. That's over 20% of our population that is not acquired the skills they need to be effective and safe in our digital society, or take advantage of what being a digital citizen can provide for them. And we know as technology continues to evolve that the gap just widens. Now, the good news is that the skills can be acquired, but they're not implicitly developed. And so research shows that the approach that we've been using inside schools, that includes direct instruction and technology practice to acquire those skills, is necessary. And in fact, research has said that we should be utilizing solutions that are in schools and then pushing those solutions out to the communities. And so that's what we're excited to explore with our friends at DEI and ASU. Now, just teaching skills doesn't get these folks all the way that they need in order to be digitally literate. And we know that we need to help them to apply and develop these skills so that digital technology is part of their everyday lives. And to bridge this gap, we have to empower and excite learners, and we have to bring them active, creative, and hands-on experiences that prove the value and the power of becoming digital citizens. And finally, and probably most importantly, is representation. And representation really is a recognition of self in the learning content and in the learning experience, and the technology industry and the workforce opportunities that come along with that. And this is a key to the adoption and the sustainment of this critical initiative. When learners start to see themselves in the learning content, in those experiences, in the opportunities that they provide, they engage. And this is what we're excited to do. The digital divide cannot be closed until the content reflects the full spectrum of the experiences and perspectives so that all citizens have access to books, videos, websites, media created and containing characters that look like them. And we're excited to be working with ASU and DEI to bring our experiences for digital skills instruction to all learners across Arizona. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about learning.com.
Thank you so much, Brian. We appreciate you joining us. Next up, we'd like to hear from Lupe Valenzuela with Chicanos por la Casa. Lupe, welcome.
Awesome. Everyone can hear me fine? Good. Okay, so my name is Lupe Valenzuela. I heard everybody kind of giving their background. I am Mexicana, so my family's also from Mexico, so that's a little bit about me. Big Raiders fan, so everybody was talking about the room, so I had to share that they're out there. They won yesterday, so woohoo. I'm wearing a gray polo that our team created. So I thought I would share that a little bit about everybody, but I am with Chicanos por la Causa. CPLC has been around for over 50 years. Our mission is to empower lives, both economically and politically. And when we think of digital literacy, it is a way to empower our community. We're in 5 states. We're in Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, and California. Fiscal year 2021, we empowered over 2 million community members. Oh, snaps. Yes, thank you, everybody. I know you were thinking the same thing. For digital literacy, we have been doing our work in Las Vegas, providing digital literacy classes to older adults. Soon we will be providing digital literacy here in Arizona as well to older adults, but also adults in general. Today, I know everybody's been talking about a little bit about what they're doing. I actually wanted to share some secret sauce. So with digital literacy, we've been providing curriculum, and we've seen that we've been very successful when we provide the curriculum, not just because our students return, but because they encourage more individuals to come out and attend the classes. We are in our 2nd round of digital literacy training. And what we've noticed is that we have an advanced course for the 2nd course. And sometimes digital literacy means not just a one-time shop, you have to continue the education for them. So today I'm going to give you that secret sauce. So when you go teach any digital literacy classes, you'll have the secret sauce and what has been our secret sauce. So I'm going to share my screen. Drum roll. Nope. All right. No worries. I'll drum roll for all of us. Yeah, this is in person. I promise I'm a really good presenter. Everybody can see my slides. It's an orange slide. Yes. Yep or no?
Yes,
Okay.
we can see that.
Okay, awesome. Just making sure. So 3 things that we learn with our secret sauce is number 1, when you are doing digital literacy, and this may be a little bit different for everybody, but we've seen the success of this, is tailor your curriculum to the audience. Make sure it is specific, culturally relevant. If you do have individuals that speak different language, make sure it is bilingual and it meets the participant needs. When I mean this is when we've been tailoring our curriculum, one thing that we do is we always do a pre-assessment to the audience. So this way we know what they are wanting to learn. And so when we come back and reflect on the items that they want to learn, we make sure that we integrate as well as the items that they need, that they want to learn, to the things that they need to learn, like security, how to use their tablets, how to use their phone, the basic way to maneuver their devices. And this way, when they're learning throughout the sessions, it's their curriculum. It's not just, our curriculum. It's all of us curriculum together. So that's secret sauce number 1. Secret sauce number 2, develop materials at a basic language. When you are teaching those classes and digital literacy training, making it as simple as possible in both languages. We have realized when translating curriculum, you want to make sure that sometimes it is very basic. Some of it may be a little slang due to the audience that you are providing the curriculum to, especially if they're individuals coming from a different country. All the time in their country, they only went to 3rd grade, 5th grade. So we make it as basic, and we always provide simple guides and things that you may not think to add, but making just like, here's where you put the charger on the phone, here's the volume, has been very successful. So that's secret sauce number 2. Secret sauce number 3 is really building that trust with the community. So that way they keep engaging and coming every class. One thing when we say building trust is meeting them where they're at. So we did notice that when doing the digital literacy classes, it was really key to have it in person, but also created a hybrid. If some individuals needed hybrid, but ours is mainly in person because we noticed that's where we wanted to meet them, and that's what the older adults wanted. But for any individual, maybe you can't go in person, you have to do a hybrid. Keep that in mind. And one thing there, we always say maybe using the same facilitator or integrating 2, because once you have that trust, it goes a long way because they build that trust with that person. So that is the 3 takeaways for the secret sauce. I know I have less than 5 minutes. How much more on time? I'm sharing my screen. I can't.
Got about 30 seconds, but we can go a little over if you need to.
Okay, so this is our secret sauce. I have some wonderful fact sheets here. When we had our first class, it was right out of the pandemic, and there was 100 older adults in the classes. We had 46 participate. We noticed that the seniors really like nutrition. So what I said, getting their input and then integrating what is necessary for them to learn. What we noticed is that 93% of the seniors, when providing the classes, it really helped them tremendously on their well-being. And 100% of the seniors were really satisfied with the class. I don't know who that trainer was. Her name rhymed with Lupe, Jupe, me. So we saw that it was really key because of building that trust. And that is all. I have more, but I know once I start talking, you won't let me to stop. I won't stop talking. So thank everybody for having me. Erin, ASU, thank you for having us. And Alrighty, have a great day. 5 minutes goes by so quick.
Thank you so much, Lupe. We appreciate it. And if you'd like, we can send the deck out to folks
Yes.
after the event. So yeah, just send us a link and we'll send it on over.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You bet. Next up, we have Courtney Anderson from Phoenix Public Housing Authority. How are you, Courtney?
Hi, good morning. Excited to be here. Thank you. Are you okay with me sharing my screen?
Absolutely. There you go. I think you now have the power.
Thank you.
Lupe, I think you have to stop sharing. There we go. Okay. Take it away.
All right,
Courtney.
thank you. Thank you. My name is Courtney Anderson, and I am a project manager with the City of Phoenix Housing Department. Are you able to see my screen okay?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, wonderful. Sorry. I am a project manager over digital and community programs, and I am excited to be here. Happy to kick off Digital Inclusion Week and share a little bit about our Phoenix Housing Connect program that we have. As we all know, the digital divide was magnified when our communities were faced with the global pandemic. The families in our community lack devices, internet in the home, and the knowledge to not only use technology, but how to use it safely. Some of the most impacted were our elderly community members who were isolated from friends, family, and their church, doctors, and that's just to name a few. The Phoenix Housing Connect program was born out of this necessity to help our youth participate in online schooling and help our seniors stay connected. We use federal CARES Act funding to be able to provide 800 tablets to our seniors. This came with 2 years of unlimited T-Mobile data. We also had mobile device management software there so that we could send push notifications, shut the tablets on and off if they were lost, stolen, and broken, and also to see usage data. Each of the tablets came with custom image for the senior apps that their service coordinators identified as possibly apps that would be beneficial to them. We also provided them a custom user guide we created to help them use their tablets and a 24/7 dedicated user support line so that they could call and get help when they needed. Initially, there were some challenges with distributing 800 tablets to seniors. We were doing this during a pandemic. We did it 6 residents at a time. So there was a lot of patience, but we realized different from our school age tablets that we had handed out, we needed to provide the seniors with a bit more training. We put the tablet in front of them, showed them how to turn it on, some of the basic functions, and we showed them our user guide. This was about all the time that we had. So one of the good things that we were able to do before we handed out the tablets was survey them, ask them about the support that they already had in their home, ask them about what they wanted to do with their tablets and what their skill level was with using computers. Obviously, a lot of our seniors came to us, they didn't have emails. We set up tables after they picked up their tablets so that they could work one-on-one to set up an email so that they would be able to use the App Store. We had no funding for digital literacy training initially. So we did one-on-one small group trainings. We did one-on-one with service coordinators and some of our AmeriCorps Vistas to help our seniors with what they actually wanted to learn on their tablets. And we relied on this team to be able to show them initially. We also had some major cybersecurity concerns. We worked to hold classes to provide cybersecurity training. And we not only wanted our residents to be able to use their tablets, but to use them safely. So where did we begin? We began with Zoom. We started coffee chats on Zoom, providing coffee and pastries to entice residents to participate. We did staggered check-ins and helped them log into Zoom before sending them back up to their apartments. They became a hit, and each month we held fun activities during coffee chats, from virtual tours of Machu Picchu to self-care bingo and AZ State trivia. These fun activities continuously brought the residents out, and they were using their tablets, which made them not only more comfortable, but wanting to come and use them. We then secured some digital literacy funds, which was awesome. We did site-based classes. They were 4 weeks, an 8-class program. They're about 2 hours long. And we did several different topics from basic tablet usage to searching the internet, entertainment, brain games, wellness websites. 163 residents participated in these trainings, which was great because we were only able to have 8 per class. And we always covered cybersecurity. And we started with a game, which they loved. Post-program surveys indicated that 90% of our residents felt more comfortable using their tablets, which was awesome. They also shared with us that they were able to now communicate with friends and family, use the internet, shop online and pay their bills, telehealth and exercise. We showed them how to scan QR codes, which is extremely helpful, especially if they're visiting a restaurant nowadays. And one resident post-surveyed said that she was now able to use her cell phone. On the horizon for us, we have some big things coming. We are committed to provide free to the tenant Wi-Fi to our residents, to our senior residents. We're also expanding our Phoenix Housing Connect program to more residents and extending the tablet service for the ones that receive tablets to 2 more years. And we're looking to secure additional funding for digital literacy training for all of our Phoenix Housing residents. And I'm honored to be here today alongside with a like-minded community of digital equity professionals. Thank you so much. And that was my lightning round. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Courtney. I'm going to share my screen again. So if you could stop sharing, there we go. We are good to go. All right, next up, we're going to talk about telehealth. We'll hear from our friends at Arizona Telemedicine Program and Southwest Telehealth Resource Center, also from Honor Health and from Chinle Comprehensive Health Facility. So we'll start out by asking a question, and please post your thoughts in the chat. And again, we'll capture those and share them with the speakers. So what telehealth projects should be prioritized in 2023? So again, as we have folks speaking, if something really triggers some interest for you, put that in the chat and we will make sure that the folks that are speaking hear your thoughts. So we will kick it off with Janet Major. Janet, how are you?
Great, thanks. Happy to be here.
Excellent. Do you need to share slides?
Yes, please.
Excellent. All right. You now have the power.
Excellent. I need my slides to share the stories, and it's always great to be able to use them for my notes as well. Do you see my slides?
Yes, we see your slides.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm just absolutely honored to be here and celebrate this great week. And I wanted to begin by, this is to remind me that I'm supposed to tell you a little bit about myself. For those of you who I haven't met, my name's Janet Major. I have a BS degree in telecommunications that I like to mention that's what the BS is for. My job is really as Associate Director for Innovation and Digital Health for the Arizona Telemedicine Program and Southwest Telehealth Resource Center. And you'll learn more about what I do as I go on, but I really am absolutely honored to be here today to share with you everything that I've seen happening in the world of telehealth and telemedicine for 25 years, because our time is now. I'm here in Tucson, Arizona. My hair is brown, my shirt is green, and I'm wearing khakis and shorts, of course, because I'm working at home. I'm very fortunate that I have a virtual background, so you can't see what's behind me, but I do have the Grand Canyon, which is what everyone thinks about, of course, when they think about Arizona, and think about what that means in terms of accessing healthcare, right? Thank you so much for inviting me, DEI. I'm also very honored to be part of our NTIA affiliate here in Arizona. We've got a lot of great activities. We're celebrating here in Arizona all the way through Saturday. The Boys and Girls Club here in Pima County have an event on Saturday. If you want to hear more about what I'm covering today, please join us tomorrow in Pima County for a digital literacy event that's really going to be exciting. And I really do want to thank NTIA for putting an annual event together to help promote what we do. the folks here in Arizona that I've been networking with and doing the work for many years, the Arizona Digital Inclusion Network is one of the 4 pillars of work, practitioner support. It's like a practitioner support group, right? But we support all of these other pillars as well. It's really important that we collaborate as we are today and share our best practices and really improve our work and learn from each other. And isn't it great just to hear all the amazing things that other people are doing? So the theme this year for this week is turning our moment into movement. And this couldn't be any more true for all of our constituencies, but I would argue exactly mostly for telehealth and telemedicine. I've been singing this song and dance for many years. And the fact is, if you do have technology and telecommunications connectivity, now you have access to healthcare. So what a grand explosion of knowledge that if we have those things and a private public space to communicate about our healthcare, we can really improve access to healthcare for people who need it the most. And we live in a world where everybody wants to be connected everywhere. It used to be BYOD, right? Bring your own device. Well, now it's also BYON, bring your own network. And I have the best job on our team because I get to put the tele into what we do. I put the tele into our educational and clinical applications, not just because we want to reach people in rural areas, but because we can deliver these services more efficiently and we can keep people in their community as much as we possibly can. And that's where people want to be, home sweet home. So I would say that the other part of what I do that I love is recruiting the healthcare workforce of the future. To help train the healthcare workforce of the future, I have the opportunity to work with doctors, nurses, every healthcare professional there is that treats patients, that works with patients. But for me to be able to go and participate in events that help promote health careers is one of the greatest joys of my life, because I can tell people that there is something for everyone in healthcare, and it definitely takes a whole village. And here we are in Tucson. This is the Arizona Health Sciences Center, and we support interprofessional education. The fact is now, to get healthcare, you're not just treated by a doctor or a nurse. You have a wide gamut of people. There are social workers. We have graphic artists that help produce our educational materials that are targeted for specific audiences. You know, there's a lot of people who make healthcare happen. And that's why it takes the whole village. And I think it's more so, again, in healthcare than anywhere. You have to have the people of the community, the village people, to really help make healthcare happen. And who are those people? Well, often it's the community health representatives, the CHOWs, community health outreach workers, and the promotores. These are the trusted community members who link people to healthcare at the very basic level, whether that's getting you a ride, meeting with you after your appointment, getting you a ride home, finding babysitting services, whatever it takes. These are the folks who really do get people in their hometown connected. And they're definitely part of the team of heroes that treat people in healthcare. And they're like the original digital health navigators, right? The librarians are the original digital navigators, and the promotores and CHRs are absolutely digital health navigators. And they put together certificate programs. They do amazing things that help teach themselves technology, network to then be trainers to teach their communities technology. So I see them as being one of the most important parts of our future in healthcare. So a couple of quick projects I wanted to share with you. Back in the day when wireless was invented, we were able to network and do an incredible project on diabetes. We were in the town of Amado, where we could, with a hop, skip, and a jump, get connectivity at the Amado Food Bank. Well, what a great place to teach people about diabetes. This was a demonstration, right, about what a great idea it is. And now it's more than a good idea to be able to deliver the series of 6 courses for newly diagnosed diabetic patients. You have to attend all 6 courses for it to be billable. Well, these things are now billable. It's not just that it's convenient or it's providing access, but it's much more efficient. And with just one more hop, skip, and a jump from the mobile health program to the Sapori School Library, we can invite not just the diabetic patient, but their whole family. And a promotor that you see on the left was involved with the certified diabetes counselor that you see on the laptop display and the public health nurse in the background to help teach people how to use their blood glucometers. Well, this is not something you want to travel for 45 minutes to learn. And it's also often, you know, you think about our zip codes and why we want to reach everybody in our state. Not everybody has money to put gas in the truck. I don't take that for granted at all. So to be able to deliver these services in a community where you go to vote and where it's the hub of your community, it's your library, it's your school. This becomes really an important part of the future of healthcare. So we could connect patients not only in a public place, but also in a private place. You know, if you want to talk to a genetic counselor, a certified diabetes educator, that takes privacy. So it's technology, telecommunications, connectivity, and appropriate space. That's our future. And that's what we've been working on. We have our federal government investing money. We have our state investing money. And you know what? It's fun. It's fun to be able to do this without traveling. And the stories are the most important part. How can we make a difference in people's lives, especially people who live in some very remote places? And I think that it's very critical to also mention the CHRs, and you'll hear a little bit more about them from our next speaker, but they really do amazing things up in northern Arizona. They're the promotores of the North. So they can connect with people from their local community center, and they can, using often, this was a very old piece of technology, but it was a great piece of technology. We could teach people from the CHRs how to help take blood pressure for patients in front of a console or unit that then connected the patients to the primary care provider at the walk-in clinic in Tuba City. So you could schedule your next appointment, you could ask for a medication refill, you could do all of these things in your own community. And this is over a single phone line. And the day that more bandwidth arrived, we had a grand celebration. We had a medicine man come and do a blessing for us, because not only did it mean that we could provide more services, do screenings, that kind of thing, but it also expands the type of services that you can provide. With more bandwidth, that means you can use these amazing non-mydriatic cameras to take 3 views per eye and have those images, along with the patient medical history, sent to an ophthalmologist who could screen for the exact same diseases of the eye as if you walked in and had your pupils dilated. Now, what a great example of telemedicine and telehealth and a way to improve your community's health. Not only does it increase the number of people who would be screened, we had this beautiful technology deployed up in Page, Flagstaff, and south of Tucson, and also suburbia Phoenix as well with the Arizona Foundation of the Eye. And just like digital cameras, these cameras are smaller, better, more efficient than ever. And I can't think of a better way to improve access to care and eliminate rural families' trips in half. If you get screened in your hometown and then travel for follow-up, that's the way to do this. That's efficient, and it's a great niche for technology. The technology has to have a purpose. And I think that if I was to do a brief promotional for public-private partnerships and what I'd like to see happen in 2023, I would love to see us get much more organized again with regards to diabetes and our treatment of our state's members who really need that help. And I would love to see us upgrade those cameras and really formalize a way, spend some of that diversity money and some of that digital equity money on investing in the technology that we connect to the connectivity and the training for people to use the technology that's connected. And that's really important, I think, when we think about moving forward with all this great connectivity and bandwidth and technology. We still have to remember that there's training that's associated, and that we do still have many grassroots people, and we're hiring more digital navigators and developing great training programs that are really going to help keep up with the technology. And another incredible aspect of where we are right now is we can also now reach many more people mobilely. And as you've heard, you know, we've got these great antennas that mobile units can park out in the parking lot and reach our communities. And that is great for our economy. What a great icing on the cake reason to be doing this. To be able to treat people in their own communities supports our economy. We want people to live where the copper mines are. And that reminds me, I do need to tell you, I am a French Canadian Tucsonan, and it's copper mining that brought my family to Arizona. And for us to be able to have copper miners live and support their families in the communities where that's located, for our sheep herders to be able to stay in their communities and receive healthcare, that's really why our program is here. We have the opportunity of, as we invest in our state and our telecommunications connectivity, we are supporting our state's economy. So that is really all good. This
Janet,
is my
I'm
first.
so sorry to cut you off, but we're out of time and we need to move on. Any
Okay.
final thoughts?
Well, then please do join me tomorrow to hear the rest of the story. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Janet. I will share my screen. And we're back. There we go. Okay, next up, we have Stephen Neal. Stephen, are you with us? Hi. Welcome, Stephen. You're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me
There we
now?
go. Yes, perfect.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone, or afternoon. I'm in Colorado at the moment, rehabbing a house, so on my day off. So sorry if you hear some construction going on in the background. That's what's going on. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm very happy to share some of the activities that we've had in Chinle, Arizona. I work for the Indian Health Service in Chinle, Arizona, and I've worked there for about 7 years. I'm a PA in family practice and the chief of staff of the Chinle Medical Center, or Comprehensive Healthcare Center. We were actually preparing to do telehealth before the pandemic, and when the pandemic arrived, we were able to plug and go, and it served us very well during the pandemic to be able to do virtual visits. But it kind of gets, one of our core problems is just the complete lack of bandwidth in the community. They're really traditional telemedicine of where there's a provider somewhere beaming into someone's home. It's just not an option. We don't have reliable broadband in our community to any meaningful amount. I mean, there's some spots, but it's extremely rare. So with the way that we mitigated the circumstances, we decided to bring the patients to the clinic. And so we did telemedicine on the site during the pandemic, where the providers would be in different rooms and the patients would be in sort of a triage area, and then they would get screened and move upward as necessary. And then as the pandemic was starting to become less severe on the reservation, still there, but we have since added on teledermatology, telerheumatology, and pediatric developmental pediatrics. We work within the federal system. We're a federal IHS, which is very different than tribally operated IHS. And we have a very high bar of security standards, and most options like Zoom just can't work in the federal environment. So we were really limited on what we can do and how we could do it. So not only were there structurally terrible options of broadband, but also institutionally, not very many options. Like, we're extremely limited. So we bring the patient to the clinic and we contract with telemedicine providers, and they provide services. Our rheumatology, we're booked out for, I think, 8 months. Our developmental pediatric is booked out a year, which they've all been really rewarding and great to provide sort of niche subspecialty services to our community. We live, Chinle, Arizona is in the top right corner of Arizona, kind of near the Four Corners. And we just don't have a lot of subspecialty services there. So it's been a humbling road. It's been long. Yeah, I'm willing to take questions. I don't know if I can or if I have time or what the next step is.
You've got about a minute and a half. So if anyone has any questions for Stephen, just put them in the chat.
Yeah, we're constantly trying to improve upon it too. We're looking into development, or what's our next ambitious additional specialties. The challenge is the government contracting process is pretty odorous. So that any PCP out there that just like, oh, I'd love to work with you guys, it's not a simple request. It's actually kind of a challenge. So for them. So we had to go with our own. We had to, ultimately we're doing WebEx. IHS owns its own WebEx account. But originally we were doing join.me, so it has to be housed on premises. We can't use any cloud-based operations. So if it's cloud and it's not FedRAMP approved, meaning it has met the strict security guidelines, then you can't use it at all. So almost all telehealth uses cloud-based services, and we couldn't. So.
And what other barriers were you faced with and overcame?
Oh goodness. It feels like the entire process. So the contracting process with the federal government is extremely challenging. And we, tried to operate under MOUs, but then we had to go back to the table after we had had several clinics and renegotiate. And it wasn't necessarily issues between the contractors and us. It was more the contracting officer felt that the contract was not appropriately executed, and therefore it had to be completely remodified. So challenges like that are just really make it difficult. No show rate's always a challenge for us, but we've had incredibly high show rates. And we've had many different hybrid models of, we've had like one is one provider that comes and does in person. Our rheumatology one is similar to, and then the rest are telehealth. They come almost quarterly. And then the others, telederm is mostly telehealth, and developmental pediatrics is exclusively telehealth with Children's Hospital Philadelphia. So
excellent. Thank you so much for joining us, Stephen. We really appreciate you being here and taking time out of your day. Next, we're going to move on to Priya. Priya, welcome. I know you're a little crunched for time, so we will just dive right in. And do you need to share slides?
Are you able to see my screen? Am I sharing slides?
If you would like to, I will stop sharing and then you can share. Here you go.
Are you able to see it now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, hi, everyone, and thank you. I think this is such an important initiative, and thank you to the summit and all of the organizers. My name is Priya Radhakrishnan. I am, and I heard that we had to express what we were wearing. I'm wearing scrubs. I'm in clinic, and I have a stethoscope around my neck, and I wear glasses. Today, I have the privilege of sharing the work that we have done at Honor Health on telemedicine. And the work that I'm sharing is funded by a grant from the Foundation of State Medical Boards. And on the screen, you see the different members of our team who were really engaged in studying the impact of telemedicine. And as we all know, the initial parts of the pandemic led to a rapid switch in telemedicine. And it seemed almost overnight, we got what we had been asking for several decades, but then we had to implement it. And so the objectives of our study are listed above, but basically, in essence, it was to look at the impact of telemedicine on social determinants of health and health equity, and to see if we were able to actually use telemedicine and improve health equity. The grant is called IHET. Improving healthcare via telemedicine. And in the interest of time, I'm going to share some of the key highlights of this project. So the major impact of telemedicine, as you can see, we had a lot of visits. We had over 700,000 appointments which were completed. But the biggest impact was on reduction of no-show rates when we compared telemedicine to office visits. And in statistical language, there's something called number needed to treat, which is basically what does one telemedicine visit, how does it apply? And converting 4 office visits to telemedicine would prevent 1 no-show. For those of us that are, in clinics, we know how difficult it is to manage no-show rates, particularly amongst the vulnerable populations. People feel that patients actually are non-compliant, and I hate that word, because no one wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to do my absolute best. It's a set of circumstances that really prevents them from getting the best healthcare. And in my experience, it takes about 4 hours to complete a sometimes 5 to 20-minute office visit, 1 hour to drive, then you wait for an hour, you see the doc for maybe 20 minutes, and then another hour to go back. And if you're on minimum wage or an hourly wage, basically your choice is whether you feed your family or you show up to your doctor's visit. And unfortunately, as we all know, there's a significant burden of chronic medical problems amongst our vulnerable folks. And so this is actually one of the biggest outcomes of our study. And we found that under underrepresented minority populations, so particularly Hispanic and Black Americans, Hispanic Latinx and Black Americans, we had the biggest impact, including Medicare. And so in Medicaid, I apologize. So in Medicaid, we had a very high utilization of telemedicine and a 40% risk reduction in no-shows. And in commercial insurance, again, a pretty significant, we had a 30% risk reduction. Amongst Black Americans, like I had mentioned, we had a 53% impact and actually had much higher rates of telemedicine. And what was important was that we had patients who we had not seen for a long time actually make appointments because they had now access to care. The same amongst our Hispanic Latinx patients as well. And there was, there was a lot of talk about access to care, and particularly in older populations. And we definitely saw this anecdotally at the beginning. But then as the pandemic continued and as we became more sophisticated, patients actually started learning. And, when we looked at different age groups, there was really no statistical difference. And so to conclude, telemedicine is a really powerful tool to improve access to care, particularly to our underserved populations and Medicaid. The one caution that I would, just based on our study, is that as we controlled for multiple different variants, we found that just correcting only for race, ethnicity, or gender may not be as effective, and really including the social vulnerability index, which is a CDC has a whole sort of mathematical algorithm, actually helps. And quickly, a little bit about Honor Health, health equity listed on the screen are some of the initiatives. One of the biggest initiatives that we have rolled out is our social determinants of health program, as well as our diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have done over 750,000 food insecurity assessments, and have found, again, not surprisingly, that it's the working poor who are the most impacted. And again, linking up social programs with healthcare, with telemedicine will have a huge impact. Listed on the screen are some of the other projects that we are working on. And with that, I thank you for the opportunity. And if there's time, happy to take questions.
Thank you so much, Priya. We welcome you. And thank you so much for joining us. We're going to move on to another topic. So here we go. We're going to talk about STEM education and workforce development. So we'll hear from Future Stars, SciTech Institute, Moonshot at Nascent, and AC Strut. So before we get started, we'd like to know what you think. So what STEM education and workforce development projects should be prioritized in 2023? So what do you feel is the most important thing that we should be focusing on? So first, we'd like to hear from Sharika Jackson from Future Stars. Welcome, Sharika.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Sharika Jackson. My hair color, natural hair color is black, but I have very bright red highlights in it. I am African American. I am a female wearing a black blazer with a green top, and it's a gray stale color background. But so I am a Phoenix native. I was born and raised here in Phoenix, Arizona, went to Maryville High School, as well as tried to go to Carl Hayden High School because computers were very interesting to me. So to tell the story about STEM education, I'm going to give you a little bit of my background. Back in the 90s, Carl Hayden High School started their magnet programs, and they introduced it to the junior college or junior middle schools. And so that's what sparked my interest, because I saw a computer for the first time. Then I was able to go to the University of Arizona, where I majored in management information systems. And upon graduation, I work in technology. I have been in tech for the last 23 years, working in local government. And in that process of working in local government and going back to my high school and coaching high school basketball, I saw the disconnect. on how our kids were getting to school or their exposure to STEM education. So I started Future Stars, where every child is a star no matter what they do. And so we bring STEM education as well as college readiness to them. And the way we're bringing that to them now is through our hands-on STEM program, which is a 9-month program that runs from September to May, where the students are able to earn points by attending. And at the end of the program, they can win a laptop or a Chromebook or some type of device to get them connected. Because as we've all been talking about, the disconnect from technology as well as internet has been a challenge, and it especially showed up in the midst of COVID. So we have been providing devices to our students for the last 8 years of the program, as well as we host a hands-on STEM fair, which we have that on the 4th Saturday of every month, where the students and their families are able to come out, as well as the community. We have a big barbecue. I call it a big celebration of education. We have a DJ, we have a barbecue, we have STEM activities, and they're all hands-on. And you get to take the interactive activities home with you, because we believe if it goes home, the conversation will continue in a household about the solar car you made or the birdhouse that you built, but whatever, you know, all the things that you were able to create at that event. So we continue to do that. We continue to provide the hands-on STEM program. We are in 2 community centers. We are partnering with the City of Phoenix Parks and Recreation Department, and we're looking to grow and expand that, as well as we provide our mentorship program for high school students to get them on track to go to college. One of our high school seniors that graduated last year is now in school to become a veterinarian, as well as we just continue to work with them. Some want to go to ASU. And so whatever we can do to get our teens into college. But one of our new initiatives that we've now is now up under our umbrella is called the Title I Tech Program, which is a partnership with the $1 Million Teacher Project, Lights, Camera, Discover, Atello, and a host of other companies, where during the pandemic, we were able to provide over 600 devices to the community, to schools and families, to get them connected. Because as we all have been talking about, COVID-19 shined a light on it. Even though Sharika will tell you, I've been singing the tune for the last, 20 plus years that I've been in tech, on why I go to the community centers, why I have had the ability to help get Wi-Fi in the community center. So COVID just helped my song that I've been singing about the need in our community to come about. So with Title I Tech, we are also going to be launching our A+ certification program. So what we want to create is an ecosystem, have high school students or young adults, because not everyone's designed to go to college, but you can work in tech and you can get a career and make $40,000 to $50,000. So if you're going through our A+ certification program, get an internship, as well as then help feed that cycle of refurbishing devices that will get refurbished, as well as you will hear from Tom from AZ Strut. We've worked with him and partnered with him as well. And so we're just trying to get more youth into tech. I am a tech nerd in a sense of on the hardware side of the house. And so that is what I used to do. I used to break, fix, repair servers, printers, and all of that. And so that is what Future Stars does. We provide STEM education and make sure our youth that look like me and a lot of others can get to college and be successful. So thank you for your time. If you want to know more, visit our website, futurestarсaz.org. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Sharika. We appreciate you being here. Next, we'd like to introduce Dr. Jeremy Babendor and Sarah. Sarah, let's spotlight you two, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, thanks for giving us the opportunity to connect. We're going to speak a little bit about Chief Science Officers. And so this is an opportunity to really broaden participation for youth leaders, and they actually have started getting more engaged with conversations about broadband access. And so let me just share my screen. And so one of our Chief Science Officers, Sarah, is going to co-present with me. But if you haven't heard of the Chief Science Officers, it's really this idea of how do we really enable youth to be part of these conversations. And so really walking the walk, we wanted to make sure that our students are here to be part of the conversation. And so this really stemmed from this idea that we're often having these conversations about workforce, future jobs, what's education like, where might broadband be, why wouldn't we want to have students be part of this? And so this has been something that we've now been up and running for 8 seasons, and it continues to build. As a lot of you know, and challenges addressed, this really goes towards the future workforce of Arizona and beyond in terms of a lot of the challenges in diversifying that workspace. So want to pass it over to Sarah, who can talk a little bit more about the Chief Science Officer's experience.
Yeah, so I need to share my screen, or Dr. Babinder, are you sharing yours?
Yeah, I got mine up.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Oh, you don't see it? Okay.
No.
I never shared it. Okay, here we go. Can you see it now?
A little bit, yes. Okay.
Perfect.
All right, so hi everyone, my name is Sarah Riley, the Chief Science Officer from Tucson in ASU Prep Digital. So CSOs are 6th to 12th grade STEM ambassadors who are identified by their peers and demonstrate interest in STEM innovation and advocacy. So first and foremost, we're change makers. Next slide. So our program goals, we are trying to cultivate a network of diverse STEM leaders, foster communication and collaboration, enrich school STEM culture and career awareness, and amplify student voice in STEM conversations in the community. So the CSO experience is very diversified. It depends on each of the different CSOs, but generally it's based on the Leadership Training Institute, our year-round support, cabinet meetings, and engagement. So the Leadership Training Institute, when I first started out, I was a very shy 13-year-old kid with anxiety, and I hated talking to people. But Leadership Training Institute pushed me to work on my public speaking and working with others. So the year-round support and the cabinet meetings also helped me with that, but it's really the engagement opportunities. So I worked with different organizations and slowly became more confident with my public speaking. Next slide. So the action plans are how we make our impact in the community. So there's some examples right there on the slide. Last year, my action plan was building snake pegboards for wildlife rehabilitation centers. They're exactly what they sound like. They provide natural behaviors and choice and control in their lives. So I gave those to 2 different wildlife sanctuaries and then did some presentations there. Next slide.
So one thing to highlight is just the feedback that we get from the action plans is that peers will actually tell us in terms of just that this is a new opportunity for STEM, and really the event was just as good or better than other STEM opportunities that they had. And really this opportunity for students to develop these is a new opportunity experience that they wouldn't have had otherwise in terms of interacting with their principals, interacting with community leaders.
So there are different school events and projects. We have conference presentations. We do stuff with different libraries and all sorts of different projects. Next slide. So CSOs are STEM ambassadors. So we get to meet very important people. For example, when I went to Michigan last summer for the STEM ecosystem convening, I got to meet with Louis Lopez, who's the director of the Department of Defense's STEM sector. So we get to meet with all different sorts of people. Go ahead.
And in terms of community engagement, we work to get feedback from the adults that interact with students. And we do find that they have a very memorable and positive experience working with youth ambassadors, and really helps them to remember opportunities they may not have even otherwise.
So after the first Leadership Training Institute, there are different types of advancement opportunities. We have our different levels, which is essentially expanding our action plans. So I'm a level 2 CSO. There's also the Leadership Council. I'm part of both the regional and the International Leadership Council. We get to plan different events and connect with CSOs across the world, from Kuwait to Kenya. And then after you graduate from high school, there's the Alumni Association, where you can remain connected and serve as peer mentors for CSOs.
So in terms of the data, we've taken retro pre-post analysis, and we really see significant, very significant differences related to the 21st century skills like action planning, working with peers, leadership competence, and beyond. And just in terms of numbers, and this one's a little bit outdated, but we've had over 200 CSOs we anticipate for this season and over 80 schools.
So as a CSO, I've been able to partner with all sorts of businesses and community partnerships. Some examples are listed on the slides right there. So for example, I've worked with Liberty Wildlife, Phoenix Herpetological Sanctuary. Currently, I'm working with Bat Conservation International. And I've also worked with a partnership between ASU and NASA. So lots of different opportunities for CSO. That's just another one. Next slide.
And just talking about growth, we have really built partnerships beyond Arizona. So we're now in 14 US states and 5 countries. And so it just continues to be an opportunity to connect youth global. And that should be about it.
Excellent. Thank you both. We appreciate you being here. I will now share my screen to introduce Scott Hathcock. Scott, are you there? You are. I'm going to go ahead and give you sharing privileges.
Thank you so much. Can you
You
guys
bet.
hear me fine?
Excellent.
Everybody can hear me? Awesome. So my name is Scott Hathcock. I'm President CEO of Moonshot. What is Moonshot, you may ask? Well, we are a 22-year-old 501c3 nonprofit originating out of Flagstaff. However, now we are all across the state of Arizona. And we really do specialize in rural Arizona with the purpose of the purpose of starting companies for job creation in those areas. And I think that's important because I think a lot of times as we look at incubator programs and workforce development programs, oftentimes, especially with incubator programs, people are looking at the notion of unicorn companies. While unicorn companies are awesome and great to have, typically what that means is that there'll be an exit in the next 3 to 5 years. We're actually looking for founders who enjoy where they live and want to create a better community for their families, for their friends, and for rural Arizona. So let me give you a little history about what that means as far as how we started or where we're headed. And for some reason, Stephanie, I cannot get to the next slide. Oh, there we go. Okay.
There we go.
So we started in 2000. We actually originated under the name of NACET. Perhaps you guys have heard about that. The acronym stood for the Northern Arizona Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology. And as I like to say, that's a mouthful that didn't mean a lot. But since 2000, we started with an EDA grant. We built some buildings up in Flagstaff. We then were known across Flagstaff as possibly being a partner to help incubate incubators. And so we actually launched CEI Gateway in Phoenix. We later went on to launch the City of Maricopa incubator programming. Then we came back with a larger building in Flagstaff and an EDA partnership in 2016. And then we went and started helping with Chandler Innovations in 2016, and we actually just just closed out that contract. But it was in 2017 that we rebranded from NACET to Moonshot. And the reason we did that is because I wanted to infuse some energy and some storytelling into our mission. And I thought no better than to tie into Flagstaff, specifically Northern Arizona's history of actually training all the astronauts that were in the Apollo mission. And we continue to train astronauts today, even from Mars. So we switched to Moonshot. And it's important to note that it was JFK who said, in I think it was 1963, May of 1963, I believe, when he announced to the world that we would put a man on the moon and return them safely. At the time he made that announcement, we actually had no idea how we were going to do that. But because he made that public announcement, very public announcement, suddenly we were surrounded with resources from around the world that came in and said, I think I can help you solve this problem. I think I can get you from A to B. I think I can do this. So we draw that parallel between what was done with our moon landing as well as what we do today with entrepreneurs. So they make that critical announcement that I think I've got a better way to have a taco truck. I think I've got a better way to solve cancer. I think I've got a better this or that. And they know that thing, but they might not know how to do the marketing, how to bring it to the customer, how to tell their story. So that's what we specialize in. Today, here's where we sort of land across Arizona. Again, Moonshot at NACET is our campus in Flagstaff. We have several satellite operations, including City of Sedona, Camp Verde, Rim Country, the Winslow I-40 corridor, as well as we have a incubator / workforce development program called AT Stitch Lab, which is located out of Tucson. That is around the sewn goods manufacturing side. We also have, recently we're launching in this next few months, sustainability management. So we'll be able to help companies really build in sustainability practices from day one as they launch their company. We also have the Moonshot Community Planner, which is an online digital platform that assists with economic development planning and project management. And we also have We Mean Business, which is a women entrepreneur network that have meetups regularly, monthly, quarterly, as well as recently we're launching a Moonshot LGBTQ+ entrepreneur network, which is, I believe, the first in Arizona, but it's statewide to assist with LGBTQ+ entrepreneurs. And finally, we have this thing that, well, I guess I'll get to it in a minute. So here's what we offer. We offer access to the 4 C's. So that includes curriculum, connections, clients, and then access to capital. We deliver what we believe are sustainable packages with providing inspirational, supportive partners. And finally, we produce pitch events, workshops, high school, secondary school boot camps, and networking opportunities. This is a quick event that we do yearly. It's our tour schedule for the AZ Pioneer Pitch Tour. As you can see in the state of Arizona, we've got dates listed that start in October and run through the finals in July of 28, which will be held in Flagstaff. And thankfully, we're sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Arizona for this tour. Here's just a quick snapshot of our menu of offerings. Again, we're really working to include the rural communities of Arizona, so that means we need to make these prices accommodating and to help with their budgets. So again, these are the ways we look about going in with a la carte, and then we work on a virtual level, and then we can actually work on the ground, boots on the ground. Finally, we believe in democratizing entrepreneurship. We believe that no matter where you live, you should have access to the same resources that any major city has. But we cannot do this successfully without digital equity. And so it's important for us to work with partners who can assist us in providing resources to educate and assist entrepreneurs to get these resources that we offer. You can see that I've got a barcode here. You can feel free to scan it and download this presentation. If you have questions for me, I'd love to hear them. And I think that's about it for time. So questions?
Excellent. Thank you so much, Scott.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
Very good. I will share my screen and we will have a chat with our friends from AZ Strut. Are you with us?
Yes.
Excellent. Thanks, Tom. Over to you. Would you like to share your screen or no?
No, I'll keep it simple today.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thanks for inviting us to be a part of this celebration. We're grateful to be a part of it. And AZ Strut, otherwise known, the real name, Arizona Students Recycling Use Technology. We're going to celebrate 25 years next spring of officially with the IRS, but Motorola and Intel employees were doing work probably a year or two before that. When we started up, it was all about getting computers to Arizona public schools or Title I schools that didn't have enough computers in their classrooms. And now we hit to the pandemic and a lot of them are one-to-one devices. However, we found out during the pandemic that still Title I schools and small schools didn't. And our focus was on that. It was interesting just how many small rural schools we ended up assisting during the pandemic. Towns like Elfrida, Topak, Whitman, anyway, those kinds of towns. So we're really trying to be Arizona Strut, not Valley of the Sun Strut. And we work on a lot of partnerships. When we're working with, so we donate equipment to schools, we also partner with schools for STEM education. We've been partnering with various schools as they focus on their A+ certification. We get equipment out to the schools, assist the teachers however we can. I think we've probably assisted about 10,000 students in the schools since we started. We've also do these techie camps. These in the past were very focused on young kids, and they come in, tear a computer apart, and then take it home with them. I remember when we were doing techie camps 15 years ago, it was these big towers that included CRTs, keyboards, and mice, and it was a big challenge for some of the families to get this in the car and get it home with them. Now we're often doing them with laptops, so they could go in a bag if we've got them available, and they could take them home with them on the bus if that's what the case was. So we continue doing the camps. Like Lupe, we got some secret sauce, a little bit of news. One of our new camps that we're looking at doing is Chrome camps. In other words, we're getting some Chrome devices, trying to get them out. This won't be centered so much just on kids, but on underserved families. We're excited about this Friday with CPLC and the rest. And anyway, so we continue to evolve. The camps, we do the camps with, even we've done camps at Bob Chuli's. So that was one of the neighborhoods mentioned earlier, Casa Grande. Again, we're trying to include the entire state. I remember celebrating Digital Inclusion Week about 5 years ago, 2017. And we were starting up a partnership with Arizona Libraries at that time. It was the start of us donating out, since then, about 2,000 laptops to many rural libraries that couldn't, I don't know, get whatever grant funding for new computers. So we were getting laptops out to places like Fredona, Parker. I think we got some down to Bisbee, out to Yuma. And so these libraries also combined a hotspot so the communities in these rural areas could check out a laptop and a hotspot to take home and have access. You know, so we've been working on this. I remember looking at that solution and going, "Oh, that's well, it's the best, you know, that we've got right now." We're excited about all the broadband going to rural Arizona recently. We're also looking at a lot of public and private partnerships. So as we partnered with many people on this, we welcome more. We're looking at some public-private partnerships that might involve co-working spaces in rural Arizona. So we're excited about that. So I think that's about it. We're excited to be here, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. We appreciate you being here. We're going to move on over to community engagement. We're going to hear from our friends at Arizona State Library, N50 Intel, and from the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, the folks who put the Digital Inclusion Week together. So very exciting. We'll start off with asking you what you think. What community engagement projects should be prioritized in 2023? Tell us what you think in the chat, and we'll pass that along to the folks that are speaking today. So to kick things off, we will hear from Holly Henley. Welcome, Holly.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'll start off by introducing myself. I'm a female of European descent with blonde hair, wearing a black dress and pink sweater, and I'm up against a black wall in my home office. And thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today about the role of libraries in engaging communities on this important topic of digital inclusion. Understanding the role of libraries in this work starts with understanding that today's libraries are so much more than just books. So we're going to look first at local library resources and services for digital inclusion, and then move to examples at the county and the state level of community engagement in support of digital inclusion. Libraries have long been thought of as primarily repositories for books, but as I said, there's so much more. Focusing on resources and services related to digital inclusion, here's some examples. Libraries have on-site computers, Wi-Fi access for bringing your own devices to the library and using them, computer classes, remote and in-person tech support, vetted online learning resources, community gathering place, and an emerging service that you heard about earlier today for libraries is telehealth, telemedicine. The need for equitable services was really underscored during the pandemic when library doors were closed. Customers who had depended on using the library's computers or Wi-Fi for connecting to the internet using their own cell phones, tablets, and laptops had even greater need of getting online to do homework, to fill out job applications, to apply for human services, and many, many other needs. Libraries were resilient, and they came up with new ways to provide services and engage with their communities. Curbside pickup of hotspots and devices for checkout, boosting their Wi-Fi signals and setting up tents for customers to sit outside their buildings to access the internet, and parking Wi-Fi enabled vehicles in strategic spots throughout their communities to provide online access, just to name a few ways that they responded. But realizing that these strategies were just band-aids and not solutions to the issue of digital inequity, libraries see the need to be engaged with other stakeholders in finding long-term solutions. At the county level, Pima County Public Library is a model of a library system engaging with the community, in this case, the entire county, to address digital inequity. Connect Pima is an initiative that has as its mission all Pima County community members will have equitable access to affordable and reliable high-speed broadband internet to successfully participate in our democratic society. A digital infrastructure and inclusion action plan was created that guides their work, and Pima County Public Library has a strong leadership role in this community engagement effort. At the state level, the state library is engaged in digital inclusion efforts, working with the National Digital Inclusion Alliance on a digital inclusion project. We realized the importance of the work and were the first state library to create a full-time digital inclusion consultant position. Our consultant led work with offering express grants for Wi-Fi hotspot lending, Wi-Fi expansion, and digitization summits for tribal libraries. We became active participants in the Arizona Broadband Stakeholders Network, where we've connected with many, many other stakeholders, leading to numerous collaborative efforts, two of which I'd like to mention, although you have heard about them already today if you've been on for the whole summit. The Arizona Digital Inclusion Network, or ADIN, grew out of the Arizona Broadband Stakeholders Network, comprised of members who work with digital inclusion from many different perspectives, but have in common that they are all digital inclusion advocates. ADIN is committed to building a living, evolving, and long-standing network committed to achieving digital inclusion for all Arizonans. And our collaborative engagement effort that has been most far-reaching to date is the Connect Arizona website that the State Library oversees with funding from the Institute of Museum and Library Services. As you've heard earlier, it has two primary aims: to connect Arizonans with information resources needed for affordable home internet access, personal devices, and local technology training and support programs, and also to inspire digital empowerment in Arizona by way of digital navigators, the free library service for individuals to develop digital and web literacy skills, find internet service, get technical assistance, and become confident users of technology. So the State Library looks forward to continuing and expanding collaborations to promote community engagement that furthers actions for digital equity locally, countywide, and statewide. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you so much, Holly. We appreciate you being here. Next up, we have Dan Gutwein. Dan, are you with us?
I am here. So thanks, Stephanie. I appreciate it. And Stephanie and Erin, what an amazing morning and early afternoon you put together. Huge congratulations to both of you and all the presenters. Just real quick, I'm male, European descent. I've been told my hair is now gray. I don't believe it, but you all can be the judge if you want. I'm wearing a blue checked button-down shirt. And my background, by the way, is off the Airbnb website. I highly recommend you go and check out some of the homes they have because I don't know, I think it's more impressive than maybe the back wall of my office in Southeast Mesa. But anyway, a year ago, I'm here representing Intel Corporation, as well as a project called the N50 Project. And as far as Intel invested in Arizona, as most of you know, a year ago, we broke ground on a new $20 billion investment and a couple of new fabs down in Chandler, Arizona, bringing our total to about $50 billion invested in the state. We've got over 12,000 employees, one of the largest employers in Arizona. And what I want to point out from Intel and where I'm going with the N50 project is our purpose as a company is to create world-changing technology that improves the lives of every person on the planet. And that's what I'm here to talk about today is the N50 project. And we started this project at Intel. We've been incubating it for a couple of years. We launched officially back in February, but N50 actually stands for the next 50, the next 50% of the world that doesn't currently participate in the digital world today. And the key word behind that is participate. As from our research and working with some of our friends over like the GSMA, we've uncovered that 3.4 to 3.5 billion of the 3.8 billion that don't participate actually have the ability to connect globally to at least a 3G network, but still half don't do so. And so that's really the problem we're trying to solve, is to really figure out why aren't people connecting. And like so many of you focused on today, we found 3 basic reasons why. Number one, digital literacy, which we've talked about today, and there's some great friends in this call helping solve that challenge. Number 2 is applications that actually enrich communities' lives, community members' lives. And then number 3, obviously, is cost. And so as I mentioned in February, we launched the N50 to go tackle those kind of 3 problems. We call it the participation or the adoption problem. And we decided as a company that one company can't do this. By the way, I'll challenge everyone, one company can't do it. Just a giant checkbook can't do it. It's all of us working together to get this done. And so we open sourced the N50 project and said maybe there were other companies that wanted to join us in this effort. And we launched in February. We've done very little, 0 advertising, all word of mouth. We now have nearly 100 partner companies that have joined our project. And those include Arizona State University, one of our key founding partners. I always mention names, I want to forget some, but you've got some behemoths like Intel, Dell, SoftBank, AWS, WWT, and many, many more. And we're currently working on about 40 projects globally, including several in the state of Arizona. And we're estimating that the partner companies today are impacting over 250,000 people. Some of the partners that come to the table to join the N50, some come with cash, some come with applications, some come with just expertise on how to get stuff done or certain elements around literacy applications or cost. Some bring project management, many bring project locations. Here's a location that needs our help, but everyone brings something. And we see ourselves as kind of this coalition of the willing or simply doing. And so what sets us apart, we say, is that we just get stuff done. And I'll tell you an example just real quickly. When the war broke out in the Ukraine, we got some N50 partners together and said, hey, there's massive amount of refugees, and you all have seen the news. And we said, what can we go do to help? We went from an ideation to design to procuring equipment to building and delivering and installing 11 portable communication centers. So think of a shipping container with every communication and application you can imagine on it, including Wi-Fi for up to 350 participants for the refugees. We did that in 4 weeks and 2 days. And those are now found in Moldova, Poland, Romania. And we're now working with Core Response to actually move some of those into the Ukraine as they help with the rebuilding. So we focus on network architectures that have limited latency. We do a lot of deep CDNs and also some of the cost dynamics too, when you have like a geo satellite backhaul or the infrastructure is not in place yet. We focus on ICT that utilizes technology like intelligent desktop virtualization, where through some of the technology that actually Intel developed, we can actually bring a computer system up to run 70 simultaneous workstations today with their own OS, apps, and graphics. So it's really helping kind of control some of the cost issues. And then we open that up into communities through our partners in the 5G networks that you guys are putting in place today. So I think I've got about 19 seconds left. So I'm going to give one big just kind of push to this is, if you're interested in joining what we're trying to go do, you have a project you want us to look at working on, go to n50project.org. You can click the join button and jump on board the train. And we're going to go out and do as many good things as we possibly can. So once again, thanks, Stephanie and Erin. What a great session.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dan. We appreciate you being here. Next up, we have Angela. Angela is joining us from NTIA. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's awesome to be here. Happy Digital Inclusion Week, everyone. NTIA is thrilled to be the organization that helps pull this together with all of our incredible community, and that you all are putting on an event during Digital Inclusion Week is pretty awesome. We have about 200 organizations that are doing events during this week, so know that you are part of this movement that is very much has a life of its own, and I find that incredibly exciting. There's also a big conversation on social media, so hashtag DIW22 is a good place to see all of that. NTIA is a place where organizations such as those that have been presenting today that do the digital inclusion work, right? Those who help folks get connected to the internet, those who are teaching digital skills, those who are refurbishing computers or finding other low-cost solutions to either the connectivity or the devices that we gather together. We're a community of practitioners. So I welcome any of you to that community to join us. We have community calls. We have a very active listserv. Some say it's a bit on the super active side, but just get the digest. It'll be all fine. It's pretty awesome the way that folks really support each other. It's free to join. We really want folks to be able to rely upon each other and the expertise that comes locally, because that's where the heroes are, is that local work. We have a lot of online resources. So NTIA, our team learns from the folks that are in the field doing this incredible work, and we document it. And then we create guidebooks and other resources. So we have a local government trailblazers, which are local governments that are really leading the way around digital equity work. We have a free and low cost internet listing, so you can see which internet service providers have low cost offers and some of the details, because the details matter, right? Is it actually a promotional offer that's going to end after a certain period of time? What speeds are they offering? What's the price point? All of that we have listed. We do 101 webinars quarterly, but then also we record them and those are available. So for those who are just getting started in the field, there's also entry-level information for you, along with all the more advanced information that's there for those who have been doing it a bit longer. We help define the model for digital navigators. So you'll find lots of information about the digital navigators kind of idea on our website. We don't own it. It's owned by everybody that's in the field doing that incredible work, but we help document it and help define what it is so that folks can make good use of those resources that are already out there. The Digital Equity Act is something we help to make happen, $2.75 billion that's coming for digital equity. We're pretty amazingly excited about that. We keep saying like this is our moment in time. So this is our moment in time. That will get us further down the path. I don't know that we will actually, pretty sure we will not actually solve the digital divide or fully bridge it in this short period of time that we have with this money, but we will make amazing gains, and we also learn a lot. So if we can set up some new structures so we can keep addressing new digital inequities as they develop, because that's very likely to happen, then we can make those big gains. So what we do is, as information is made available from the federal government, we try to phrase it in ways that is a little bit easier to understand and that is smaller, so you don't have to read the very long documents that the federal government puts out. We have a lot of that on our blog, so I welcome you to check out the blog that lists all of that information. We also do a lot around the Affordable Connectivity Program. So that's the $30 per month subsidy that's coming from the FCC right now. So yes, lots of information there. I welcome you all to that. And I welcome you also to Net Inclusion, which is our annual conference coming up February 28th to March 2nd. And that's in San Antonio, Texas. And I will put that link in the chat also. And thank you all for having me. This is awesome.
Stephanie, is your dog doing the introductions? Do you want me to just go? All right. So first of all, I just want to take a breath, because it's been a nonstop day of just a lot of really incredible information, and pausing for just a moment to take in. Sorry, I have to. I'm recognizing that it was just, and even for somebody that lives and breathes every aspect of this every single day, it's and it's humbling to hear all about the work that's happening. And I'm so very, very grateful to all of you for taking the time to join today, for being willing to share your expertise, the work that you all are doing, for taking part in what I hope is just the beginning of a conversation that will last for the entirety of our doing this work collectively. So round of applause to all of you. My sincerest gratitude for both being here and for everything that you continue to do. I want to say the Digital Equity Institute is just beginning our work around the planning efforts. It will take the next 270 days. That's the number of days that's allocated by NTIA. We want to talk with everyone, with all of you. We want to come visit and see the work that you're doing firsthand. We really want to learn more. We want to listen. It is our job to make sure that the voices are included. We are in the process of building a digital equity index and an atlas. We will be doing a barrier and challenge assessment. We'll be doing stakeholder asset and resource mapping. We really just want to understand, to create a space where we can compile everything and then to make that available. So even as the year is progressing through, that people can just access it and use it in a way that adds value to the work that you're doing. The hope is that if we create mechanisms in space where collaboration can occur, we can accelerate the pace at which we're doing things, we can increase and amplify the work that's being done, and we can create systems where collaboratively, and I think Dan said it beautifully, as coalitions of the willing, we can really start to move the needle. I just want to, we talk a lot about the big themes, right? These are digital equity ecosystems and all of the different pieces that comprise it. At the end of the day, we're talking about people. We're talking about individuals that either can or cannot participate. So when we say thrive, we mean people can't get their care healthy and to stay alive in many cases, can't or get interrupted way and put food on their tables and keep a roof over their head. There's approximately 2 million of people in Arizona alone. So getting this right is incredibly important. So part of what we're doing today is saying, take the pledge. There's a pledge link that you will get. We challenge you, invite you, encourage you, urge you to put that pledge up on your social media. Part of what we're doing is creating a groundswell, creating awareness. We have to start building trust and we have to continue to build community. So creating awareness that the other people who are doing this work exist is a really good first step. We won't get any of it done if we don't actually engage with, build trust with, and work collaboratively with the community. And that takes all of us locking arms. It means that we have to include absolutely everyone. Someone on my team asked me about using the word all. Yeah, it is a big road and hill to climb. So and today is the start of what began 20 years ago. Now that we have a catalytic amount of money, there's a big old light shining on us. Arizona will get it right, but we can only do it if it is diverse, it's inclusive, it's equitable, and we're working together to do it. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today. Thank you to ShapingEDU and this incredible team for helping us put this together. To all of the speakers for your time, energy, dedication. Thank you, and to everyone that's here. Don't forget to give us your name. We want to create community. We want to keep reaching out to you. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Thank you so much. Stephanie, if the dog is done.
Yes, Fabric, my French Bulldog, thanks you, and all of the guests that have joined us today. I do as well. So again, thank you so much. The digitalequityinstitute.org will take you to Erin's world, and shapingedu.asu.edu will take you to ShapingEDU's world. So again, take the pledge, please. And we look forward to communicating with you all in the future. Thanks so much.